Yep.
So let's back up a little. You mentioned bug people.
Yeah.
What's going on there now?
So I did not, since I was a kid, I used to, like, I always interacted with the Fae,
Yeah.
and then I interacted with these bug people, which look like praying mantises. I didn't think anything of it.
Aliens. People present them as aliens.
I just assumed they were praying mantises because they're dressed in clothes, but
Right.
they look like praying mantises to me.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of World of Unknown. It's Danny and Trevor here again, and we are back again with the interview with the medium. We're back with Perstephane Rose. Now, welcome back, Perstephane. Good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you.
We had such a good response for the last interviews that we had, and we had a lot of people asking, telling me and Trevor, like, oh, you guys should expand on this, and we had this. I'm like, we had just a limited time,
Yep.
to get to.
I know.
And that time flew by so fast, so we figured, and you were gracious enough to come back again, to go ahead and come back and answer more of our questions. Before we do that, let's dive in again, Perstephane Rose, so you can explain who you are and what you do in your whole site and everything, please.
Okay, so I'm Perstephane Rose. I'm actually a medium or a channeled reader with mediumship ability. I actually am certified to do that. What I actually can do is I can talk to people on the other side. I have a group of people that work with me, and we talk to people that are dead or passed over. I can actually do channeled readings for all varieties of levels of people and topics, and I can also do pet readings. Like, that's just my skill set. And on my website is Perstephane Rose Psychic Eye Network. You can get there at www.a2sisters.com. All one word. Other than that, it will be in the bio.
Yeah, it'll be in the bio, and I'll put it on the screen again, like we did last time. And yeah, guys, we if you haven't watched that first episode or the first interview, we'd strongly suggest to do that, because we answered or asked a lot of stuff, and you answered a lot of stuff from last time. This is kind of a continuation of what we did last time and everything. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Trevor, you have anything you want to start off with first?
If you want to start off, you can go.
Okay, so going in, when you're talking about your allies and the people that you use from the other side, basically, to help you out a lot, I wanted to ask, where do your, especially not the ones that are not human, you talked about stuff like Hades and stuff like that. I wanted to ask, where do these deities come from? Were they always formed? Were we manifest at the human thought? I mean, where were they before us, if they were even there before us?
So that's an interesting question. They've always been with me. So the whole time I've been here, they've always been here.
Right.
But I know at some point I think that they were either like a divine race that was here before us.
Right.
That has their spirit, and they're here to guide us. But I also know that, like, if you want to work with someone like Jesus, you can actually meditate, you can actually move there, and Jesus can be someone that you actually interact with.
Gotcha.
Jesus wasn't there before, but Jesus now has become. So I think a little bit might be like what you actually manifest into existence as society.
Okay. So if enough belief, enough faith goes into something, you can manifest something.
Yep.
And this is kind of going out on the realm a little bit. So earlier when we had maybe about 10 years ago, that whole Slender Man thing where kids going, you could actually manifest something like that if there's enough people,
you give it enough power. And energy.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Because that's what happens with depression with people, is they get and they have a small depression, they keep building, and then depression becomes like almost an entity of itself.
Gotcha.
And therefore then they actually feel it there, it's present, it's talking to them, they're interacting, because they've actually manifested it into our realm.
Okay.
So that explains why you explain, like, and you have like the Egyptian gods and Greek, because they were manifested. So I guess that kind of answers the question. They could be. It's still interesting how our thoughts and can manifest stuff. That's actually kind of quite powerful to give. I don't want to say life, but just give something that power to come into being. Basically, I'm trying to find the word. All right, now with all these entities that are around, being like Greek gods and angels, demons, and everything. How do these entities coincide with each other? How do they exist? I mean, do they exist peacefully, or do they know of each other? Are there different planes? I mean, how is that? I mean, do you even know how
wars going on?
So I can tell you that, like, Usually the entities don't want to. There's groups of them that are like, okay, I don't care if you worship or you talk to someone else, that's fine. But I do work with a group that is like, no, you exclusively work with me or you don't work with me at all. Okay. So when I go to work with them, I only am working with them. So for me, it's almost like when you set up altars, you have to have individual altars for certain groups. Other groups, you can lump them together because they're like, whatever, we don't care, we're working with you. So some work together. But if you actually look at it, and lots of people have, if you look across the board, like Hades is very similar to a entity of someone that controls the underworld in
Hela.
Yeah. Very similar, but they're actually separate, but they're very similar beliefs.
Similar jobs, similar beliefs.
Yeah. So, but Hades doesn't want to work with Hela. That's not their,
Can't have two people running the
That's
underworld.
right.
Yeah.
Hades doesn't want to work, like Hades will work with Hecate, but only because Hecate forces herself in that situation. It's like, hey, you're going to work with me no matter what. Right. Hades in general would not work. I work with Hecate and Hades, but they usually come in separate unless Hecate thinks that Hades is overdoing it, and then she slides in and she's like, dude, step back, you know? Right. Okay. But yeah, you can work with different entities. They usually want individual respect.
Gotcha.
So
there's some ego in the.
There always is, especially for the males. The females ones are a little bit more laid back, but the males are definitely. Like I can tell you, I've interacted with Poseidon and I've interacted with Zeus. They don't want me working with Hades if I'm working with Poseidon or Zeus. Even though they're all brothers.
But they've always had a weird dynamic when you look back on the
there's a
histories.
competition, and they actually they try to. On the other side, they like to show that they have more power than the other one. So they're like, look what I can do, look what I can do. And the other ones are like, dude, what? I can do this.
It's like a little brother rivalry.
And it's like, okay, calm down, guys.
So as far as like Hades and Hela and stuff, so they would, they're the ones who take people to their dead. They're the ones. So whoever you would believe in would be the ones who'd come to again. Okay.
But I can tell you most of the time, like they're the ones that run that kind of concept.
Yeah.
But I can tell you when you pass over, it's your loved ones that come for you.
Gotcha.
So you're not scared.
Okay.
Unless you ask for like the archangel to come, and that's in your belief, you think the archangel is the one that needs to come for you, they'll present first.
Gotcha.
Because you've asked for that. But in general, it's usually family.
So it's it's always family basically, unless you really
want something very specific to come for you. Like, I want the Grim Reaper, then he's going to be like, oh, okay, I guess.
I'd like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to come get me from Ghostbusters. All right, here we go.
Okay, so one of my questions is, I've been thinking about this a lot, and the same thing with like you give it energy, but like for some reason I don't like the concept of death.
Yep.
There's certain cultures that have it where it's a human or Grim Reaper or, and I think it might, like my belief and like what I'm believing is that it's something a lot different, like an energy that feeds off of like that spark of life. And that's just its job is to just go around. And have you encountered anything like that? Where like any entity that would be death or something like that?
There are things that are on the other side that I have come into contact that do actually are like death or are like the Grim Reaper that would come and they sort of collect souls, and they do. Generally, there's two types. There's a type that actually is what I classify as like the good ones, where they literally are there and they sort of like help with the opening the door. Like your ancestors don't really open the door opens because someone else opens the door for you to cross over.
Gotcha.
And that would be like the Grim Reaper, if you want to think of it, or something like that opens the door for you, because otherwise the door is closed. Like the door is always going to be
so
closed.
there's specific beings that are that's what they're in charge of,
the power to do
it. I guess it makes sense. You don't want everybody just opening the door and just like your house. You don't want everybody having keys to your house.
Right.
You
There's
need
only
specific
really
people.
one or two, a group of them that have that ability. There are things that live off of people or live on people's energy or soul's energy, and they're like the Grim Reaper, but they never release you. Like
it's not the ending of it. Like it's not that like
they
that
keep
spark.
you.
Yeah.
To me, it always reminds me of them walking around collecting pebbles, and they put pebbles, which are your souls, in a bag, and they walk around saying, "Look at all my pretty pebbles." Okay, but they never let those souls like move on.
Yeah. So it's like that's their collection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so those ones aren't good because they shouldn't be doing that.
They sound like dicks.
Like dicks. Yeah. Dick being. Dick entities. That sounds like a new TV show. Like, after Supernatural, dick entities.
They're trying to vamp it up, man. we can give them some ideas.
So for the, in keeping with that same kind of entities and stuff, for the different types of entities, you know, where do like angels and demons rank? You know, what are they? Are they why do we put them in a collective, like certain religions, you know, and are they just part of a multitude? Are there a hierarchy? How does that all work out other than just the beliefs and they just happen to be coexisting almost together?
So I know for a fact there's a hierarchy. There's a ranking. Like you can work with lower ones that they can come and... You know, the thing is, we as humans or we as society has named them demons. And it's because their energy is darker than ours. They have a different task or they have a different idea of what they're doing. Like, to me, I always relate it to like someone going, if you were to think about it, animals probably look at us and are like, we're demons because we hunt them down. We chase them down.
A cat is a monster to a mouse.
Yeah. And so that's how we view these people. I don't believe they're actually demons. I do believe they're entities. They are. But I think they're here because maybe it's like entertainment. They come to, you know, mess with us because it's fun. Or they get stuck over here or something. Something happens. But they do have a dark entity. And there are higher ranking ones. Like I've gone in where I've cleaned a house and I found that there was a couple little guys that were in there that just didn't, the house felt good. It was the right atmosphere. It was like almost like the perfect storm. So they all cultivated.
Right.
But
Trap
then
house.
Yeah. So, but then I've gotten into other houses where they actually have a door open and you have much higher things in there that have little guys that do work for them.
Yeah.
Like a poltergeist type thing.
And they're a much higher, and those guys are harder to work with or harder to make leave because they just have a stronger energy, and they've been around a lot longer than us, like many years longer than us, centuries. Interesting.
And I'm sorry, so the hierarchy ranking, that's just something, I mean, and I guess some of these questions too, I mean, it may be even beyond our understanding of how it works out, but was this ranking just something that cultivated on their own, or I mean,
I don't think so. You know. I think that it actually is very similar to the rankings we have, very similar in the military.
Gotcha.
Because I think you had the lower beginning guys, then
grunts.
you have like the next level up, which are all the little grunt people that go and do stuff, collect the souls, go collect whatever they're supposed to be doing.
Gotcha.
And I believe it's a very similar with what they've shown me with the angels. It's like I've worked with Michael, and I've worked with Gabriel, and I've worked with Azazel. Azazel. I've worked with him. They're much higher up, but like Michael is above some of those guys.
Gotcha.
And then there's these little ones that I think the ones that people are like, my angel talks to me all the time. I see angels. I think they're like the little guys that are the worker bees.
Gotcha.
They go around, they give hope, they give light, they give, you know, people.
Like a Cupid type thing.
Yeah, sort of. And they run around and they're like, you know, sitting next to Grandma, and Grandma's like, I have an angel I've always been talking to. Well, yeah, but I don't think it's Mark.
Right.
I don't think it's Mike.
So human souls are not
schizophrenia.
Yeah. I think it's something a little lower.
Right, yeah.
But like they can present in a lot of things.
Okay.
But I definitely do believe, like I can tell you, I worked with the Fae, and the Fae has a ranking system.
Right.
Major.
Right.
And it only makes sense that everyone else has the same concept. And I've worked with people, and some are much higher energy and stronger energy, and some are much lower energy.
Are there those rankings? Are there easier ones to work with, or it's all the same? Like, if you're working with Michael, does he look down on like working with you? I mean, what is the?
He only comes in to work with you when he feels there's a need to work with you.
If there's
like
something.
So he doesn't just show up.
No,
he just
like why would he? That would be like that would be like. In logical terms, that would be like the vice president going out and saying, I'm going to work with the guy on the side of the street. Because he's really nice looking.
Yeah. No. Like, there's got to be a reason, a good reason.
I'm going to send my peon down to work with the guy on the side of the street. I'm not going to go do that.
Gotcha.
Because why would Michael, who's supposed to be the right hand of God in that belief system, why would he come out randomly looking for us?
Well, I mean, he could be humble and just like a Gandhi type of person.
Or he's bored. He's like, I got nothing going on today. What am I going to do?
The funny thing is angels are warriors. Like they are.
They're actually not what they don't people depict. These, you know, they're actually.
I mean, there are peaceful angels out there, but they make me feel like they're lower in the ranking.
Okay.
The higher up ones are the generals, are the sergeants, are the ones that have blood on their hand. they wouldn't be there if they didn't.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well,
So, you know.
I mean, in this universe, there's a pecking order to everything. Nature's law.
I mean, they do come across, and if they find something that they need or they think you need help with, they will come across. I mean, Michael, he's come to me several times to work with me, and I'm always like, but what you're asking is sort of outside my realm. It's not something I want to do right now, or it's something I don't feel comfortable. And he's like, but that's what you should be doing. I'm like, thank you so much. I'll go back to my other group.
Right. So you're saying he basically, I mean, it's not like you're asking for him. He just kind of shows up and then tells you like, hey, I need you to do this. And you're like, and that's when you're like,
no, I don't do that.
Right,
well, I need you to.
Because, well, it needs to happen.
Because like, Odin comes to me all the time. Not all the time, but he comes pretty consistent. He really has, for the past 5 years, been wanting to work with me, wanting to interact, wanting to do stuff.
I actually
but
prayed Odin.
Again, Odin is a warrior.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you want me to bring destruction, to bring chaos and destruction in so that then we can heal and blend, which, okay, I understand that concept, but that's not what we need right now.
Right.
Like, we already have enough chaos. We already have enough destruction.
Gotcha.
We need something a little bit more calmer.
True.
So they're kind of doing the.
Well, I think they all have their own agenda, and they all see their opportunity to get their thing pushed. It's like, you look at it like the United States political system. Everyone's fucking over everybody. Everyone has their agenda.
Yep.
If they see a weakness, they're gonna come in and go, okay, I need you to do this right now, and I can get my shit pushed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, I don't care about anyone else,
they're
but
like
my
the
agenda's
lobbyists.
pushed. Yeah.
Yep.
So I get that.
Yep.
I do have a question, because I actually do pray to Odin. What is Odin like?
So
The
Odin
All-Father.
presents the way I've actually interacted. The first time I met Odin was on his ship.
Okay.
So he was an older man,
Right.
missing an eye, humble, and on a ship. And he wanted to come to me, and he's like, I can help guide you. I can help work with you. I can actually do this for you. And I was like, okay. When I see crows or ravens, because in Alaska we have ravens, crows or ravens, I always know Odin's around, because that's Odin's messenger,
me too.
and he's sort of spying on you, trying to figure out where you're laying. So the first time I met him, he was on his ship. He was very humble. The second time I met him, he was actually on his horse, the multi-headed horse and the multi-legged horse, and he was young and very vigilant, and he wasn't missing an eye, and he was ready for war.
So he was,
because he
right.
wanted some change to happen, and
He
I was
adjusts
like,
to what he needs, basically.
yeah. And so I've seen.
You
Woohoo, sorry. Sorry, Odin.
Here.
Hold on, give us a time. 1 second.
But yeah, so that's how, for me, that's how they've presented. They've come in different forms. And he usually comes in different forms with the idea that he wants more interaction. Like,
Gotcha.
He wants you to, they're usually pretty good at presenting with when what they want from
Right.
you. So, yeah, but I can tell you Odin does want to come back. He wants more people around to worship him. It's very much like Loki.
All right, so you're touching on Loki then.
Sorry about that.
So I can tell you that Loki, I think it's hilarious that we had such a big influx of the Lokis, because Loki likes mischief, he likes attention, he loves it, and then immediately they picked him up and started actually filming Loki shows, and then everybody, like, there's a huge generation that didn't know Loki that now worship Loki.
Yeah, with
and
all
he's
the
like,
Norse
I
gods and
love
stuff,
this
yeah.
energy. This
Yeah.
is the best thing ever.
Thor too.
Yeah, Thor's the same way.
You think Loki likes Tom Hiddleston, the one who plays him? I'm sure
He should.
I'm
He's
sure
like,
he
whatever.
probably does, but
like,
I think it's hilarious.
He's probably
'cause
like,
I'm
I could
always
play myself better, but it's okay.
What if he is playing himself better?
That's right.
It's true.
You never know.
Right.
He is a trickster.
So Odin is coming to you because of your specific skill set. He likes what you can do, basically, and that's why. Interesting. Okay.
So he's actually come to me several times, and he's like, he makes me great offers. They love to make offers.
Really?
The Norse
to you, we're
known for that.
And he's
yeah.
like, when you pass, if you want to ride with me, you can ride across the sky, because
Right.
that's what he does.
Yeah.
He collects a group and he rides across the sky. It's like, you can be in that group. Do you want to do that? And I was like, I don't know that that's something I want to do. Like,
I think it'd be an honor.
it would be, but I don't. Once you do it, you're like in it.
Yeah.
Oh, so
To
there's
win it.
no getting
like,
out
it's
of it.
not like you sign a contract. You're like, okay, for 5 years I
Yeah,
ride
yeah,
with
no,
you.
you're
You
there.
know?
Well, what if you're the first to be like, all right, I have a contract, 5 years.
We could
we'll do that.
probably do that.
Does he? Would he? I mean, I don't know. Would he know what
he's-
5 years is?
Yeah,
though?
I mean,
You'd have to base it on, you know, with the entities, you have to make it very specific to what
Yeah.
you know. So because they're not us,
Okay.
they aren't human. They may have been human at one point, but they're no longer human. They've been so long.
Yeah.
They don't function on the same level as
Gotcha.
us. So you have to, if you're going to make deals, just like with the Fae, you got to be very specific on
You got
what
to be
you're
almost
doing.
a lawyer.
You don't say, "Hey, I owe you. You scratch my back, I scratch your
Right.
back."
You need
Then
to
they're going to show
detail
up
it.
in the middle of the night, and be like, "Okay, my back needs scratching."
Give
You're
me
like,
your
"Dude,
child."
no."
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like what? We didn't agree to that.
It's almost, I'd imagine it's kind of like trying to, because I've been having to deal with this lately, like talk to like AI if they're trying to help you, dude. You got to do very specific, otherwise
Yeah.
it gives you, and they get, I've had a lot of fights with AI lately, so that's why I'm like, no!
It's just
Stop doing
starting.
that.
buddy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's interesting that you say Odin. I wonder if other entities are doing that with other people, like is Michael, is what other
Egyptian
Neptune
gods.
is are they coming to other people? I imagine they are.
I'm assuming they do.
And I wonder if people are taking these
Yeah.
offers, or that's
some people do.
somebody,
I
right?
think that people do take offers.
Yeah.
Like if I had not been working so extensively with Hades, that's one of the reasons I haven't picked up Odin. Is Odin and Hades energy is very similar. They're
Okay.
very demanding. They're very like dominant, masculine figures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know that I have enough energy to do both.
Yeah. I
And
get
so
that.
right now I work exclusively with Hades, not exclusively, but I work primarily with Hades. But therefore later in life I might pick up that Hades isn't doing it for me anymore and I
then
need
Odin,
to move
yeah.
over. And it really depends on what the situation is.
Okay.
Like some of them are very neutral. Like I work with Nubis, and I can tell you Nubis is the easiest person to work with. Like
Well,
he doesn't care if you work with, Bob down the street. He doesn't
Yeah.
care if you work with Susie up the road. He's like, I don't care. I'm here just to
Right.
Because I would
support
think
you.
his whole thing was just weighing, and he had no sides to it. It was
Yep.
just very
It's
objective.
neutral.
and
He's just there for guidance.
Yeah, so I
and
could
help.
see that kind
Anubis
of
was
personality.
Egyptian, or was
So
Yeah.
he's the Egyptian god of, like, when you come up,
Mm-hmm.
he puts the feather and then your heart, and whether you were good or bad,
He
the scales go.
prepared for death.
Yeah,
Basically,
the scales
okay.
go,
Yeah.
and then if you were lighter than the feather, you got to go in, right?
Yeah,
I
your
think it
heart
was
yeah.
pure.
He worked with Isis, who
Okay.
did the weighing too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, what would happen? What does that mean exactly? You got to go on. You got to go on to your.
You get to go to the
afterlife?
afterlife.
If not, then you.
Then I think you're lost or something, or you go somewhere else. I believe.
To me, yes, that's what they say. But when I talk to Hades or even Anubis just shows me that everything sort of moves forward. When they weigh you, in my opinion, this is what they've shown me, because they've actually weighed my heart against the feather.
Yeah.
And they showed me that you just need more work, or you need
Okay.
to focus on something. It's like a learning lesson.
Okay,
So
well-
I don't think that you're totally like pushed out and like floating randomly wherever, but
you
you,
get a
might be
chance.
forced to reincarnate to learn again.
Oh, I didn't think about it that way.
So
Okay.
that would bring the question about, you talk about human souls as a commodity and stuff. So that would make sense, because they wouldn't use something if it's valuable to just kind of just float out there and like, okay, you're lost,
Yeah, you're not.
So
Damn,
what
that would
when you
suck.
say it's a commodity and right, right, exactly.
No, because like just imagine this: like you're a slave, and then you die, and so he's sitting there and he's like, you still need to work on some things, and you're like, okay, and then he reincarnates you and you're back to a slave, and you're like, oh fuck,
I don't think that's
what am I?
actually,
Yeah, what am I supposed to learn this time? Like,
I don't think that's actually how it works. Usually, you usually don't repeat the same life.
Gotcha.
I know,
You're
but it'd be
supposed to
just
learn,
funny.
But it would be.
That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. You
that
just
would
keep
be
getting
my
thrown
luck,
back in it. You're like, what am I, patience?
Right.
Impatient. I don't know what to do with it. Take a whip. I've done it.
So, touching on reincarnation, is there now to learning stuff? Is there a reason we have no recollection of our past lives? I mean, I understand there are some reasons, but is there a reason that you don't? I mean, unless you have some special ability or have some.
I think that the reason they do it, because I ask my guides, why is it, like, I know that I've been reincarnated many times in different levels, and they show me that the reason they don't let me fully understand all the different levels is if you had that influence, they want to see, are you going to pick it? Like,
Okay.
is it really...
So they don't want
They don't
any-
want to influence you from
Yeah.
the outside world and say, okay, you're here and you're supposed to learn to be humble.
Right.
Okay, well, then everything I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and try to be humble. They want you to choose
Naturally.
to be humble naturally.
So they want you going in with a blank slate.
Yeah.
Basically, how you're gonna. I guess that makes sense,
They
because
don't want any bias.
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
grow if you always know what's.
Well, you can't grow if someo's holding your hand too.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do it on your own.
I guess that makes
That's when it
sense.
really sets in.
Yep.
Right.
And you're supposed to learn, like they always show me that you're supposed to have a checklist on the other side. You have a checklist and you're like, okay, I learned that this time. Okay, I didn't, so that's not it. Okay, I learned this one. Oh, I've got these already listed. And you just keep working through your checklist.
Forever?
I think so, until you've mastered and then you choose not to come back.
Okay. I can see some overachiever. It's like, I got 5 of them this time. I got them. And you're like,
Got the board going on. Well, you get 5 stars. Like,
you only got one.
I hate that guy. You lose a star because you hate him. Like, oh, shoot. So bringing that, so you say somebody who's done everything, and say you have a soul that's kind of achieved what they were supposed to achieve. What happens then? Like you said, they don't have to. I mean, so some of the questions, like when we're younger, and they say when you die you turn to an angel, and as you said, angels are kind of something different. They're not really human souls. It seems like. So what would you achieve if you attained, like if you finally learned everything you're supposed to, or you do? I mean, what would be?
See, like my uncle that passed on the other side, he's at another level than basic souls that cross over.
Yeah.
He's done something where he's like a master, and he actually goes and he guides people.
Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's, and I don't, like, the concept is there, but how it actually interacts, I don't quite get it.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if the people that have achieved are sort of like your group on the other side that are allowed to talk to you and guide you because they've actually achieved to the next level.
Helping.
So they got to
and
earn
that's
it.
why, like, some people are there and then others people aren't.
That makes sense.
On your other side.
Yeah.
It's not
You'd be
that
like,
you
my
can't
cousin
interact
Ralph's
with them because
never
they're
here.
over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But they're not the ones like
Your specific
whispering in
guys
your
are the
ear.
ones that, I guess that would make sense if you.
So
it's kinda like,
they've done the work and they put in the
they
time.
become the
and-
teachers
yeah.
because
And-
or the
yeah.
guides.
The lazy people are like, we'll just let you do it.
Yeah.
I
Because they're
like
like,
floating.
I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I don't know what to do.
It sounds honestly, it sounds just like today. Like you got people that take the time to teach people, and then you got other
Yep.
people that have mastered certain techniques and
Yep.
throughout, like builders, architects, teachers.
And they're willing, and because
Warriors.
like my uncle, he's always there. He's always helping me. He's one of my number one people on the other side, but he's not always with me because he's gone. And then I'll go be like, okay, where'd you go, dude?
Yeah.
And he'll come back. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I had some stuff I need to work on.
Yeah.
Like
So-
I had stuff that I was doing.
So even
And-
in the afterlife, we can find purpose.
yeah, they seem to be very busy. Like everybody that I interact with on the other side is always busy. They're not usually, unless they really want to, they're not sitting around.
nice.
I would imagine though, they're not. I mean, if you're achieving what you need to achieve, you're always going to want to help. You're not going to want to be like, you got.
But even the lazy people that are like don't want to or haven't achieved the helping level, they are still busy.
They're
Like
still trying.
they
They're
still
just
have
messing up.
stuff. Yeah, they just have other things that they're working on.
They're just not doing it right.
Yeah.
I get it.
So I guess in and out of life, you always need a purpose. Otherwise, what's the point of being? I guess I would.
Yeah.
imagine. Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So when we talked last time, we talked about when someone dies and you got the opening for them to pass over, and when you said when someone suddenly dies that the opening doesn't come or they miss it. Now, exactly how does that work? I mean, it's kind of weird that it works that way, but how would that?
Like a timing.
Like
thing,
how long
or-
is the
It's
opening?
like a timing thing.
Yeah, like how long is it? Or it's not a specific time. It's just a.
I don't think I can tell you it opens. You're supposed to cross over and then it closes.
Gotcha.
It's not going to stay open for days.
Right.
It's not going to stay open for weeks
Months,
or
yeah.
years. It's not. So it is very much like you open the window, the breeze comes through, you shut the window.
Gotcha.
That concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way it works to me is they either get bounced out of their body so fast and so hard, like a bouncy ball,
Right.
that they don't see the opening or they're unable to get to the opening before it closes.
So it could happen to
Or
a
they're
point
too
where they don't.
confused or
That's weird
something.
that they don't see it. It's
Yeah.
weird. Oh.
I mean, like if you think like
Because it's so traumatic. You
Yeah.
weren't expecting it. So,
They're-
like, I can tell you people that usually know, like, terminal illness or they're older.
They're waiting for it,
They're
basically.
like, I know it's coming. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I'm ready to let go. Even if they're not ready to let go, they know that it's supposed to be there. Okay.
Okay.
So they're sort of looking for it.
Okay.
But I can tell you, like, if you get hit by a car randomly, sometimes you're not, like, that's not. You
It's
didn't
so
expect
sudden.
it. It was
Gotcha.
so sudden. It was so traumatic that you bounce so hard out of your body that you sometimes miss
you're
it.
still in like okay.
And then you are confused, especially if people don't understand what they're supposed to be looking for. Then they're confused
Right.
about what's going on.
Right.
And that's how they can get stuck.
So, like a lot, like most people are absolutely afraid of death.
I know.
And then you have some people that are just like they don't fear it at all. They it's just one of the natural things. They don't even worry about it. Do you think people like that are less likely to miss that window? Like death, like if it just happened, they're like, all right.
I think so. I think if you're accepting and not so fearful of it, I think that you just know that it's going to happen and you process through. I can tell you some of the major people that I cross over are soldiers, things that have been in traumatic situations and they like weren't expecting to die. There was a possibility of dying, but they did die.
Yeah.
But they weren't ready to die. So I can tell you that when I go to my group where I don't collect souls, but where the souls collect for me.
Yeah, don't be that person.
No, I don't collect souls. That's wrong. So wrong on so many levels. No, where the souls collect for me and are like in a holding spot. And then I go over, once a month or every 2 months and I clear that holding spot. Most of them are traumatic.
Okay.
So they're sitting there because something traumatic happened to them. They were in war. They were, in a car accident. They fell off a building that they weren't expecting to. Something that they weren't expecting, and they did. I can tell you the people, it's so funny because, yes, there's a whole group of people that are so scared because they think that either they dissolve, which is just bizarre to me. We're all energy. How are we supposed to dissolve?
Well, I mean, that's your imagination going on. Everyone think, I mean,
like, we're not going to dissolve. We're energy.
Right.
Energy never dissolves, but either they dissolve or it just fades to black and they're not allowed to move forward, or they swear that they've done something so traumatic. And I'm not saying some people haven't, some people have, but generally people have not done something so traumatic that they're going to just head straight to hell.
Right.
Like, I can tell you that's not even how it works.
Right.
Like,
there's a whole
you mentioned it last time. It's not
It's
really
like the
the
DMV.
thing. Right.
You got a bunch of lines you got to go into first to try to figure.
You get to go into lines, and then
Okay.
they disperse you out.
You just don't just wake up in a chamber getting tortured by some.
You don't. The earth, as much as we like Constantine, the earth doesn't open up and you just fall in.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like, it
And you're
doesn't
tortured
happen.
forever. I mean, that doesn't.
Well,
It's
that's,
not.
that's actually good to know because like I've never had the fear of death, and it's always been around me, and I've always been accepting of it. So I always just wondered because I thought it was just going to go to black, and then I've been more into.
I have some really good friends that they believe that you just go black, and I'm like, but that doesn't even make sense. Like, logically, it doesn't. Like, the screen doesn't even go to black.
The more I think about it, like for me, I think we go into our own heaven or hell. And mine, I'm actually, I do like Valhalla. And I get to see my uncle and my brother and my grandfather and stuff, and that's my goal.
And that's what I think you explained last time. Everybody has their own little
their own
heaven.
little,
It's not really heaven, but it's a little place where they kind of
It's
sit.
where they feel connected. And even if, like, I always think it's funny because some people are like, but I'm Catholic and they're Jewish. Like, how are we going to interact? Or I'm Catholic and they're Muslim. How are we going to interact?
See, that's
Dude,
just,
but it's all the same.
It's all the same thing.
Like, it's all the same energy.
At the end of the
different
day-
book, same
Calling
thing.
it different names.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all going to the same. We all want to end up in the same area, in the same place. That's
And so it doesn't really, and even the ones that don't believe in anything, they're still out there too. Like, they're still hanging out.
Yeah.
They're always amazed. They're always like, I did not
like,
realize there was
well,
stuff over here.
imagine
Yeah,
that.
I mean-
I mean,
yeah. I mean, like you look at it, the soul has to be an energy, and the humanity's never gonna figure out what a soul is.
No,
but
and we're not supposed to.
right.
you can. I've seen it personally where you see the light go
Yeah.
when someone passes. So I'm like, where the hell did that go? Like that had to go somewhere.
just
Energy
doesn't
can't be
dissipate.
destroyed, or it just has to go somewhere else. So I'm like, all right.
And I can tell you that, like, you can see your soul if you really meditate and ask. You can actually pull yourself out and see your soul if you want to. I've done it since I was a kid. But you can do it, and you can actually see that it's like, that's why it didn't make sense to me that people thought it just got lost.
Right.
Because, like, you really are two separate.
Would that be like an astral projection or something a little different?
I'm assuming that's what it is. Like,
Okay.
for me, how I do it is I actually close my eyes, I start taking deep breaths, and I actually calm my mind. And then you start seeing, for me, I actually start seeing it's really weird. It's actually where the skull actually separates, and it's looking back at you.
Gotcha.
So it's in
interesting.
spirit form, and then it's not a skull because it's not bone, so it's actually more like energy,
the
but
image.
it's looking
Huh.
back, and you actually
Okay.
pull yourself out, and then you're like, oh, there you are, and then
Yeah.
it snaps right back in. So it might be astral projection.
Right. I can barely see like a cut on my hand. I can't imagine seeing that.
Yeah, you got one right there.
I got a lot of them all over. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you can do it if you want to. I think
might
that
have you
that's
teach
what
me
the
that.
I know. I'm really pretty sure that's what the guys that are in the orange do. Buddhists
the prisoners.
Yeah, prisoners.
Yeah.
No, Buddhist
community
monks.
service, or you're talking about the monks. Gotcha.
monks.
Yeah,
I'm
Buddhist
really
monks,
pretty sure that's what they do when they do the long-term
Okay.
meditation. Is they can pull themselves out and then pull them back.
They
like it
do say
snaps.
they do a lot of weird stuff when they do their meditation.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they can,
They're
I believe
exploring
that.
that part.
Because that's some deep meditation they're going
and
to.
I believe that's what they're doing. Like my people have shown me that's what they're doing.
Okay.
Is they're pulling themselves out, evaluating from the outside, and then coming back in and analyze, and then looking through it in a different viewpoint.
Do you think when they do that meditation, they're also kind of wondering in that realm that you're going into? And maybe that's why they're so calm and they understand life a little bit easier?
I think that it pulls you out, and it puts, like when I pull myself out, I can pull myself out and then look from the outside in and then evaluate what's going on. And I think it's because you have created a calm area for you to do that, or a safe space, or you actually created a space that you like, or you're on the other side where you're being protected to do that, and then it comes back in.
Maybe Buddha or one of the Hindu gods or the Buddhist gods protects them, maybe.
Something.
Okay.
I mean, I know that when I do it, I actually do deep breathing concepts, and then I imagine that my body gets pulled out. Not I imagine, I visually see my body being pulled out, and then I take my soul and I walk it into a safe space that it has a door, and it walks in, and then it bolts from the inside, and then I'm protected on that side. My body's safe because it's still here on this realm, but then when I astral project or I move towards different areas, it's through that area, and they can't get back to me.
Okay, so the soul's
It's
safe
almost like
too.
a cleansing room. Like if you think about contamination, you want to go in a safe room.
Yeah, all the biocontaminants that can.
And so then you can project out, and then you can come back into your safe room, clean up, and then come back to your body.
Oh, okay.
Is that somehow how you would you remote viewing, or is it remote viewing different? That's exactly how you would. Okay, gotcha.
That's how I do it.
All right.
Yeah, because then I can take it. My entrance is like it reminds me of a vault, like it is a vault for me. It has 3 locks on the front. I open it and it creaks open. I walk in, close it, lock it from the 3 on this side. Then I walk over to the other side. I have a key. I open that door. When I think of where I'm going, because I don't randomly just walk out, because then you don't know where you're going, and you should never do that.
Right.
I always project myself, and it's like, okay, I'm going to meet this person, or I'm going to do this activity, or I want to go do this. And then I walk out, I open the door, unlock it, open the door, turn around, immediately lock it, because you don't want things come back or follow you in. Then you do what you need to do on this side. And then when you're done, you come back to the door, unlock it, walk through, turn around, lock it again. Then you can decompress.
That's interesting that you have to actually. You just can't walk out there because you're going to be in no man's land.
Like,
you think there's people that can and they can figure out where they're going?
I think people do, and I think that they get very mixed signals, or they get very confused. And I think you also see, like, I don't know for sure, but I think that's where you get the people that don't feel like they're here anymore. Like they're a little like eccentric, or they're not, like maybe a little schizophrenic.
So like they're more
somewhere else.
They got stuck over there. Like they started wandering and they never came back.
Yeah.
And whatever piece of them is here is just kind of like,
Yeah, it's just
But there's
somewhere
that
else.
would make sense.
Yeah.
So when you're doing the remote viewing, saying, and say you're here and it's somewhere like really far, how does space and time on that side? Can you just instantly like?
It's
if you're
like
here,
you pop.
Okay, you're just there.
Okay, so it's like Star
you're in
Trek.
Florida.
To me,
Yeah.
So it's like
very-
Star Trek.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm very visual.
And this is all
So,
like everything you describe. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Everything you describe, like the door locking. This is how you look at it. So that's
This is
what
her
comes up to
routine.
you. That's
Yeah,
right.
her
So somebody
routine.
else could see something different.
Yeah,
you know.
they can do it totally different.
Gotcha.
Like I know people that go in coffins because you're entering into the
That's
dead
fucked
realm.
up.
Oh.
They go into coffins.
But that's
they
how
come
they
out
see
on
it.
the other side.
Okay.
I know people that put themselves in bags. Like they actually view themselves as going into a
Yeah.
bag, zipping themselves safe in a bag,
Interesting.
and then walking
Yeah.
out, coming out the
Okay.
other side.
Okay.
You can do it many different ways. That's just how I do it.
Gotcha.
Because to me, it makes logical sense that you have to have an area that you can decompress, then come back, and when you're on the other side. So when I go and I'm like, so if I do remote viewing, because I can do it, that's how I can cleanse homes from like on the East Coast here.
Right.
On the West Coast is I tell them, please send like pictures of where you want me to go, but I actually already have it in my head. They've already laid out the plans. It just gives me more details of like
Yeah.
where the windows are and stuff.
Gotcha.
So then I sit down, I go into the room, I come out, and when I come out, I literally I'm in front of their door.
Got it.
And I'm walking in. So I snapped right to their area.
Got it.
Walk in, do my thing, see where the problems are, work
Star
with the
Trek,
problems,
man.
and come back.
This is Star Trek.
Well, you got to think someone invented that.
Warp me up.
And that's
Maybe that's the way they
because-
viewed it.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah.
So, like, someone's imagination invented that, which means imagination
Maybe
is
they
based
were on
on
this.
stuff they actually can see.
Someone knew exactly what you do, and that's how they described it. And like, ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, let's make a whole series about
Beam
it.
me
Yeah,
up.
we can't do it,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
that'd be
exactly.
fun.
So there's a Trekkie out there somewhere that just
I'm
is all
sure.
dressed up and like, beam me up, Scotty, and then. But hey, that makes sense to them. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's how they, So when you do remote viewing, have you ever done stuff in the past, or you just do it in present time?
No, I've gone in the past to meet people or to talk to people or ask for, like, I've done stuff in the past if I think that I need to go. You can't alter the past. Like,
No,
you
but
can't.
you would just-
But you can go back and talk to people. You
Okay.
can go back and review
Okay.
this.
What
So, like,
happened?
one of the best things to take your power back and bring back one of your soul pieces is you go back to the situation that caused you to lose the soul piece. So some traumatic event, like if you were abused as a child over and over again, you lost a soul piece in that trauma. The best way to do it is to go back to that trauma, remote back into that trauma, but this time take control. Take
Okay.
it back.
So
You're an
don't
adult
allow
now.
that to happen.
So it's not that you don't allow it, but you're there to protect the child,
Okay.
or you're
Got it.
there to protect yourself
stop
at the
that
time or
from
whatever.
happening, yeah.
You take the power back, then you pull it back. So I have done both. I mean, I've gone back and I've talked to Robin Williams just because I really think
How
Robin
was
Williams is
that?
really cool. He was interesting. He was very funny, but he was also telling me, and this was before they even started releasing any of the information about now
him
it's
dying
not
and all
him
that, yeah.
committing suicide. It was different
Yeah,
things.
the disease.
He
and stuff.
actually told me off because I did it like maybe 6 months after he passed, just because I thought he was really a cool person.
He
I just wanted
was.
to see, and he had such a great sense of humor. But you could tell that he could see the other side just fine. And so I went back, and he kept telling me they have it wrong. They don't know. It's not the same. It's not what I did. I didn't do it. It's just not like it's
Yeah.
not there. And he was really cool. But he also very much wanted everybody to see the world. Like, he kept giving me flowered glasses, and he kept saying, "Put them on, because he wanted to see the world to see it positive.
He
Yeah.
saw, I think that man saw the world in a beautiful light.
Mm-hmm.
Because that saying that, the darker the person, the more beautiful they can see the world.
Yep.
And I think that's what you see with him.
Yeah, because he kept handing me glasses
Yeah,
that
like he was
literally
being
were
kinda-
flowers.
yeah, kinda
and he kept
goofy
saying,
and-
"Put them back, put them on. You need to look the world through flowered glasses." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Always keep them on. Don't ever take them off. Don't listen to him. Keep it on. Like, you can see the other side, but
Very
you don't
positive
need to."
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just really a cool guy. He
Yeah,
was
he
really
seemed
cool.
like it in life, though.
Yeah. And he was drinking. It was hilarious. I met him at a bar.
I could see him doing little skits and the voices and stuff. And you're
Right.
like, Robin, just stop. Can I talk to you? Like,
So you basically you can go and try it now. Can you just talk to anybody that has passed, or in the or just they have to be
ask.
accepting? Okay.
Like,
All right.
you can go and, like, I could say, I want to talk to Genghis Khan, and Genghis Khan could be like, "Dude, no, I'm not talking to you."
Right.
is
You
he
know.
acceptable? Like, can you actually find him?
Genghis Khan?
I mean, they can't even find his tomb.
He's on the other
Still.
side. He's fine.
Yeah.
His family hid him, and that was because they were worried that they were going to dismantle him
Yeah,
and
yeah.
put him places he shouldn't be. So they hid him.
They hit him very well, but like, I mean, that
then he
man
got
was
forgotten.
considered a god.
Yeah.
But
Like
I
that-
can tell you, you can ask to meet anybody, George Washington,
Right.
but it's their choice. Like, you're not, you have a better connection with your blood or your family
Yeah.
line to be able to request, like, say, "Grandma, you're talking to me to
Yeah.
me today." And Grandma's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess because we're blood, I have to come."
The bloodlines are
But
more likely.
other
'cause-
people will be like, "Dude, I don't
Who
owe
are
you
you?
nothing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
why are you asking for me?" So it's only if they want to entertain you.
All right, I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
got a weird question because that Genghis Khan thing. When you're in his presence, does he scare you?
He's a very dominant figure, that is for
Because
sure.
he killed 10% of the population of his time. Like, that man killed millions.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a scary That's like sitting in front of Hitler on speed.
He's sort of funny because if I was going to relate him back into, like, our concept of how the energy was, it was like standing, what I imagine it would be like standing because I watched Star Wars when I was a kid, standing in front of the guy that was the big.
The emperor, or
not the emperor, but the one that had everybody on chains in the bar.
Jabba.
Jabba the Hutt.
Okay.
That's
Really?
the energy I got, because
So
as
like
a
a
kid
mafia,
watching, he's
large,
like he
but
knew what he
ruthless.
was, but man, don't cross him. He wasn't
he
mean.
killed everybody.
Like the thing is, when I met him, he wasn't mean.
Well-
But you could tell he was like one of those ones where waters run deep, and when you get too deep, you would drown. So don't cross him.
Because they had a different view on humans. Like if they weren't Mongolian, you weren't really human. You were just less than.
Yeah, you're
so
a
what
subset.
he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He was just doing what he was put on this earth. So I could see him not being like a mean person. I see him having that.
He had a very great, like he was showing me that he had plans upon plans upon plans that he was always constantly building.
Yeah, he was building an empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even up until the very end, he always had things like
set in place. Yeah.
rotating through, like the daughters marrying kings and then killing the kings off, then they become the runners of that country, you know, that kind of stuff. He always had ideas of how to like expand.
And his sons fucked it up. Yeah. But like that's interesting that he's not like one of those, like that presence where you look and you're like, dude, this guy's a psycho. He was actually very strong, strategic
like
person.
When I went to
Intelligent.
him, I actually didn't intend on going to him. He just happened to show up one time when I was talking to one of my other guides. He wanted to come in, and I was like, they were like, you want to talk to him? I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And he just wanted to come in and show me that you need to, for me, it was you need to keep planning. Don't give up
so
the
he's just that
planning.
guy.
And
Now he
was,
sounds annoying.
No.
Because he'd be like, now I can see it now. You'd be like, oh, Genghis is here. He's going to tell me to plan something.
Well, I mean, that
Like-
kind of makes sense what she was saying, that he's like that. I mean,
But that's his whole being was to plan an empire. And then since he
whatever
died,
it takes
everything just went
to achieve
nuts
that
for him. Yeah.
plan, and which is
And he was really disappointed. Like, I can tell you at the end, he was like, why did it have to end? It should have never ended.
No,
I
it
didn't
shouldn't
have
have.
a strong enough line. He really felt he didn't have a strong enough line.
But he didn't.
But
yeah.
the thing is that he couldn't make it any further, and there was nothing left
There was
to do
no
it.
one to pick up the pieces for
But
that.
that's how it was supposed to be, too.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
it was supposed to come to an end. It wasn't supposed to be continuous.
I don't think we could have done another 100 years of him.
No.
So,
Wow.
bringing up like
Okay.
Genghis Khan or Robbins, I mean, are these so? If these souls reincarnate, I mean, just because someone reincarnates, you can still go back and talk to their past persona, basically.
Yeah,
that
it's
persona
almost like
still
that
kinda
piece of
exists?
the soul stays, and
Gotcha.
you can communicate with that piece of the soul.
So
Interesting.
you're not getting the full soul. You're just getting.
Well, you are,
I
but
don't
you're
think
getting the
that
full
you
persona.
ever- like for me, it's really hard. Sorry, it's for me. We're playing footsie.
That's right.
It's for me really hard because I think our soul, like they keep telling me my soul has multiple heads, like we're multi-headed souls.
Gotcha.
And I think that's because we have so many different
Personas
lifetimes and
yeah.
personalities in us
Yeah.
that you
Ah.
can know this one, but I don't know that in this realm, on this plane, we actually understand how big we are.
Gotcha.
And see, I was talking to you about that at work, remember?
Yeah.
Because I told him I don't think like we just see things on like this earth, right?
Yep.
And we think this is it. And I'm going, what if there's? And we were talking about you, and I go, what if there's just we're the little ant, and there's this giant universe out there that we don't even see.
Yep.
And it's doing its own thing, its own nature, and that's what you get to just kind of wander around in.
Right.
I can tell you one of my visions when I was a child, and I didn't understand it. It actually scared me, but I used to tell my mom, and my mom's like, what is wrong with you? And this was before Twilight Zone, before the whole episode came out. I was getting these visions before where we were living our lives and people are watching us like through TV and sitting there watching our lives like it's a soap opera, and
Yeah.
then people were watching their lives through the
Oh,
TV.
it was just
and it was
everybody
just
watching
continual.
each other.
continuous.
Yeah.
And mom's like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
Like,
Like,
why?
what?
And I'm like, I don't know.
That's the way I see
They're
it. It's
showing
like-
me that that's what
That's how-
happens.
That makes-
She's like, you have a crazy imagination. I was like,
That makes
okay.
sense.
So it would be interesting now to find out, let's say Genghis Khan, to follow his reincarnation line and where, if it's still going on now,
that dude was a
who
butterfly.
who and what they are now would be
It would
interesting.
be their energy.
Butterfly.
Right.
I can tell you what would stay would be their drive. I bet if you find the people that are still in that lineage, you would find that they are overachievers or leaders or drives.
Possibly.
He's 6% of China's population.
And you wonder why they're so dominant.
Yeah, but I'm thinking Elon Musk came from him because that's more of the planner that Genghis would be.
Or even like a Robin Williams or just somebody important. It'd be interesting to find like a really important, like iconic person and see what their reincarnation
where they
line
come
goes.
back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
See, like Elon Musk, I think he has a little bit more than just us in him.
Yeah, we all think.
Oh,
that.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that too. Yeah, I think
he's being influenced by something a little bit more than us. So I don't know that it's
interesting.
Good for him.
I don't think it's so much his lineage. I think it's where who's in influence.
So, could a person find out their reincarnation?
You can go to someone that does what is it? I keep wanting to call it regurgitation, but that's not what it is.
Well, technically,
it's called,
you get thrown back out.
because you get thrown back out. Yeah. But it's where they go back and they look at your past lives. Okay. There are psychics and there's mediums that focus on that. You only get, though, a glimpse. So you can't really control where you're going. So like I've done it twice. One of them went back to a guy that was actually an office worker, and he worked, and it was like the 1950s. And literally I got up every morning, went to the factory, worked, went home. I had a Monday in life. It wasn't anything special, but I did it like it was routine.
It was clockwork.
And it was clockwork. I did it over and over again, and then at the end I was like, wow, what was that for? Like that's how I felt at the end.
You figured out like, I did that for no reason.
Yeah, there was no reason. And then the other one I went back to, I know that I was somehow related to, I think I was a female at the time, but when I went over, that's what the energy felt like. But I was definitely associated with a Native American tribe, and I was one of the healers associated with the Native American tribe. You can go and do that, but you can't say, okay, I want to know, I want
was I
this.
A king?
Yeah, I want this. That's not how it works. It's sort of where you jump, and I think it's because it's where you're supposed to know at the time.
I think I might
want
want to
try
try
to know
that.
Too much, like we talked last time about knowing your your path.
I'd like to know what I used to be.
We have psychics. One of the psychics on the website does that.
I might have to do that.
Yeah.
So we going back and we talk about soul collectors, and you mentioned that in the last episode too. And there was a lot of questions people ask about soul collectors. What the hell is that? So can we go into that topic more? Because you mentioned that our souls are commodity, and what exactly does that mean? What is that? How are they used with the energy? Other entities and how many other types of entities want our souls for energy or whatever? I mean, how was that?
There's lots of things that want your souls. There's it's almost like Predator. Have you guys seen Predator? And where they go all over the universe and they fight and see who can win. Yeah. Well, there's things that go all over the universe collecting different types of energy, and one of them is souls. Okay. And they collect it. What do they use it for? Multiple different things. I've seen where on the other side, they collect innocence, or they collect souls from children or younger people, and they keep them with the idea that it's pure energy, and it's almost like it keeps them young, energetic, and they can jump everywhere because they have so much. It's almost like a pure energy source. Then I've seen other people that actually do it, and for the majority of stuff I see is it prolongs their life.
Gotcha.
It's almost like it's a youth serum, and they keep it, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to stay younger, so they collect the souls.
So these are entities that have like a finite being.
But they also take people's gifts. Like, if you have a gift and they collect your soul, then it's almost like they can utilize your gift.
So if you have a gift of clairvoyance, then all of a sudden they can use that.
They have that ability.
And what happens to the soul? So if they collect a soul, what happens to that soul?
It doesn't go away. They just have it. Like they always show me that's like they have a sack. Yeah. And the souls are in the sack, or it's in their pocket, and it's like a deep pocket, and it's in there, and they won't release them, or they put them in. Like one of the houses I cleaned was someone that was actually he actually collected women and he tortured them, and then he'd kill them. But he kept them in his house for months.
Gotcha.
He actually had the thing that was in his house that was actually functioning as him. He was actually split. Like he'd been tortured. He'd actually asked something to come in and protect him.
And
what came protect him was this thing, which then created this monster that he was. They had a safe. And they had all the things, like little trophies in the safe. Yeah, I actually had to go in, cleanse the house, eliminate him, and then figure out how to open the safe to release the souls that were in the safe.
That makes sense.
So are you able, or are there people or things able to get these soul collectors and release the souls?
Yeah. You usually have to take the souls. Like, I can tell you the easiest way I do it is I'm like a robber and they hate me for it.
Yeah.
But you go over and you do it. Like, that's why you don't do it multiple times. So I might I might go and look one time and then pull back, and then like a month later go over and retrieve the souls.
Okay.
Because if you go over it like night after night or day after
They'll
day,
expect you.
or even week after week, they're gonna be like, God, what is that?
They
What
got
is
the
that? What is
routine,
that?
yeah.
And then they realize what you're trying to do, and they put up better production, or they take them and move them.
Okay.
Yes, you can go over and do that. It's easier to, how my people work is I have to create a bubble where I'm safe.
Right.
And then I blow the bubble up so that the souls are safe. I open the door, they cross over really fast, and then I close the
can't get
door,
back
and then I have to get out. And my people keep that bubble safe for me. But do I get rid of them? I don't think that, this is the ethical question for me that I have a hard time with. Okay, they're monsters to us.
Right.
But are they really monsters?
Exactly. And overall,
Well, then, yeah.
So I open
Everything's
up.
a monster to something else.
So what I do is I ask my people, I'm like, okay, send them where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay,
That
so I
makes
don't
sense.
destroy them.
Right.
So you're just
usually.
distributing them where they actually should
So
be
I ask
instead
them
of that.
to help me open the portal to send them where they're supposed to be, because okay, they're a monster to us, but there's someone else's uncle over on the other side,
And
because
everything
that's
has a
what their
purpose,
job
basically,
is.
yeah.
Like they're the person that goes and collects all the wild birds in the in the forest, and then brings them into town and sells the wild birds
Yeah.
to make pets.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. To the birds, they're monsters.
They're
Right.
monsters,
Right.
yeah.
But to
Now-
us, they're just a person peddling.
Exotic pet trader.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
That's sort of what they make me feel like. Lots of them
Yeah,
are.
I mean, evil's perspective, honestly.
Yeah. And so I don't usually get rid of anything because I don't know where they go, and I don't
Gotcha.
want to like
Well, that makes sense.
do
Yeah,
that.
just send them back.
But I send them back where they're supposed to, and then I release the souls so they can go.
Okay.
So
But
the-
yes,
yeah.
people do collect souls. They use them for lots of different things. I see them. They're
scary.
like a commodity. They
Yeah.
are. They're a commodity.
So we're
People
the
do
dollar.
this.
We're like batteries, basically, almost kind of, so they can use them
Yep.
from whatever, or they can use it to take our
And we're
abilities.
young.
Yeah.
Like our souls, even though we've been reincarnated over and over and over again,
still young.
we're still a young soul. And so we have
still
a
fresh.
lot of
Yeah.
energy to
Yeah.
us.
So when they collect these souls, what does that mean for that soul? That soul's not being like reincarnated. It's not being used. It's just kind of
Like limbo?
captured, basically.
Yeah, like
See,
limbo
I think
kinda.
that I've seen two different things. It's like a piece of your soul that they have.
Okay.
So like the next time when you're reincarnated, it always makes me feel like you're searching. Like you don't feel completely.
You feel like
whole.
something's missing,
You
which
feel
really
like
is.
something's missing. So therefore, in the next life, you're always searching because you don't have a full soul. But then other ones, I've seen them have the whole entire soul, and then those guys don't get to
You reincarnate.
reincarnate.
You're just stuck.
You have to release them so they can reincarnate.
That's scary.
Okay. Yeah, it is scary, and I know it's horrible, and they probably will make a horror movie on it. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It probably was really
that's-
bad and didn't do good.
but I can tell you, the majority of people don't have that problem. Like that
Okay.
is not.
So it's like a
majority.
rarish thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many souls. It's
Yeah.
like someone snatching your credit card number off the internet. It's
That's
just
right.
bad
It's
luck.
random, or it's something you've asked for. Like I can tell you, I wouldn't want to be some of our politicians when they cross because
Yeah.
they've
No
sold,
one wants to be their politician.
they've made deals, and their soul isn't going where it's
I
supposed
think
to go.
Tom Brady made some deals at half times, man. Every
So-
halftime he was losing.
So, that brings up, people in power, people who are like Brady, or just people. I mean, it doesn't always mean that they're making deals, or does that?
I think they ask for guidance, or they ask for. I can tell you, there's people that are very gifted that can do things that are very gifted. Like I've never gone and asked for help.
Right.
I was born
Yeah.
with this, and I'm sure that like Peyton Manning or those guys, they're very gifted. Michael Jordan, they're very gifted. They had that ability. They can do it. I don't think they went and asked for it. But
No, it
I
just
think
came
when you
natural.
go above and beyond and you become some kind of like almost godlike creature, or
Then
you
it's-
view yourself as a godlike creature
Right.
above humanity that you actually supposed to be in, I think that's when you start asking. They've asked for guidance, or they've asked
Yeah.
for help, and there's always an exchange there.
And not giving everybody an idea how to do it, but what do you mean ask? I mean, how does that work? Like, is it something that you just, when you're asking, you believe in hard enough that I guess, like we talk about the manifesting, that you
Or
kinda-
you do what I do, where you can go and you sit down logically what they would show me is that you would sit down with the person that you were asking for guidance or asking for help with, like, I want to be famous. So then you go and you sit down with this person's like, I can help you be famous.
Yeah,
but you have to give something.
But then they're like, but you realize that when it comes to time, I get what I want.
Yeah.
And some people know what they've exchanged. Other people, it's a broad concept. And so they're like, yeah, I'll give you whatever it is, just make me famous.
It's like when Odin wanted knowledge, he gave his eye.
Yeah.
But he had to, or he wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it because you sometimes have to exchange. Like,
That
like your
makes
peace
sense.
of mind. Like for me, some of the things that I've exchanged is like my ability to, like, I can turn stuff off to an extent, but there's stuff I can't turn off. And and so like that was like, I asked when I was working through it, my mentor always was like, be careful what you ask for because you'll get it, but it's always in exchange for something. So like, if you want to hear the people on the other side, you want to talk to the people on the other side, then you're probably not going to get good night's sleeps.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know,
sometimes the price is too high.
because the price is that then you're always turned on.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so whatever you're asking for, you do, like some of the stuff I was born with, so therefore I didn't ask for it, I was given it.
Gotcha.
But then as you evolve and you get more, you do ask for certain stuff,
Okay.
or you say, hey, I need to expand this, and they're like, okay, you do, but there's always an exchange. Always.
Well, that's life, though.
And that's interesting how some people are just like, born with some of the stuff and something else. I could imagine people, like you said, they come and ask for like to be famous. Those are the souls that are still learning, and then they go back on like, see, why are you asking for this?
Yeah,
you know,
was it worth your time?
Was it worth your time?
Was
Exactly.
it worth your energy?
Was it worth the payment that you had to pay? No, and so that would be,
and that would be a learning experience, because then they on the other side, like some of the things, I think some of them are you actually make deals with angels, or if you want to view them like angels. So then when you go back and you cross over, then they're like, okay, let's sit down and let's analyze what you actually asked for. Was it worth it? And they make you like almost do like a mini course on was it worth it?
I mean, okay,
nothing to do like a report when you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm kind of wondering, like, if they, like you're like, all right, I'll do the exchange, and then they actually sit down with you and like, okay, was it, like, they don't really want the exchange, they just want, hey, was it worth it?
I think that some of them are learning lessons, and they are people from the other side that are good.
Yeah.
And they're there to guide. And so they're like, so was it worth it? Did you have fun? Was it exactly what
Like
you
it was
wanted?
a teaching moment instead of like actually taking something.
But I do believe there are people that do ask for negative stuff.
No, I do
and
too.
make
Yeah,
deals.
Tom Brady. Sorry, Tom.
Someone's got a Tom Brady hate going
No.
on.
After that Falcon win, I don't give a shit what you say. He was sucking the devil's dick in halftime, and there's no way in hell.
All right,
No way.
Okay.
I'm
Big Tom
sorry.
Brady fan over here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's hilarious.
But the other team does not score a single point in the second half. You blow them out.
Yeah, alrighty then.
Sorry. I've been thinking that dude's been making deals with any entity he can get
Maybe.
at any time. I bet the locker room
as-
looked like just shrines.
As my people always tell me, if it's really shiny on the outside or it looks perfection on the
it's
outside,
not.
it's chaos on the inside.
Yeah.
So someone that's over preaching, over,
Looks like a porcelain doll.
you gotta wonder
Hollow
what's going
inside.
on the inside.
Exactly.
Like,
That's funny.
I mean, I can tell you there are things that come to me that when I've gone, like I just went back up to Alaska to visit. I actually had at the hotel we were staying in, it was a much older hotel. That's one of the original hotels.
Alaska, yeah.
Okay, in
This
the
is-
town.
yeah, you got
And I
history.
was staying there, and I actually had a person come and was like, hey, can you, and he was one of the founders of the town, and he was like, hey, can you help? Like, I sold my soul to stay here and I can't get over. Is there a way you can help me? And I'm like, but you sold your soul.
Like,
Yeah,
I can't
it's a
get
done
that
deal.
back.
Exactly.
It's not that I couldn't, but see, it's an ethical thing. Should I?
Right.
Like, you chose to do that. You did it voluntarily, and you went to the extreme of actually doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
So should you just take
should
the...
I just take that away? I don't know that that's my
Well,
job.
I mean,
Right.
how,
Like,
when
they
was-
learned their lesson as it is, so I'm not
When
too-
was the town founded? We're talking about like what, 1800s?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's had like 200 years to sit there and like, dude, I really fucked up. I shouldn't have stayed here.
Would you imagine that?
But he asked. He was like, "I was a founder. I created this. This was my baby. I made it.
Yeah,
it's mine."
that's great.
And I'm like, "Okay, well then I guess you said you wanted to stay. You get to stay. Like that was your deal.
You made the deal."
And he was like, "Well, can't you help?" And I'm like, when I ask my guides, like my backup plan is I always go to my people and I sit down with them. I'm like, "Is this something I should be doing?" And they look at me and they're like, "No."
Yeah,
There's other things out there that he needs to.
He needs to learn it.
He's got. They
So
always
he
tell me
hasn't learned.
he has an agenda that he still is working on.
Right.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I walked away. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you.
He's like, can you at least tell him to put a Starbucks here? God damn it, Jeez Louise, please,
Come on, man.
McDonald's, something.
But he was funny
I thought
because
they'd get it.
like he showed up and he was like, I really want help. You need to help me. I was like, I don't need to do
I don't
anything.
need to do anything,
dude.
exactly.
Well, yeah, if you're being pushy, but like I think if he learned his lesson, whatever lesson it is, then
There
all
are
right.
things that you can release souls so that they can go.
Yeah.
But only if they, like, again, I have a strict guideline. I ask my people
Yeah.
I trust very much, and they tell me yes or they tell me no.
Right.
So you're
That's-
abiding by the law pretty
I'm
much. in
abiding
there.
by what the law
Yeah,
that
and that
they
makes
tell
sense
me.
because they
everyone
would know.
needs to
You're like,
learn
let
their-
me make sure and ask exactly.
Learn the lessons,
Yeah.
and then you can move on.
I'm sure
and then
some
you
can put on a sob story and you go, they're like, no.
That's
they're-
like going to
they're-
like
Yeah.
death row and be like, "Are you sorry?" And be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I
Yes.
get out of here?"
Wait,
And you're
was
like,
that a question?
Nah,
Did you say
you didn't
yes
learn
with
your
a
lesson.
question?
Yeah, you didn't learn that lesson, did you?
No?
Would you kill her again? Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would.
What are my choices? Like, well, no, you just say no. What are my
A, B, and
choices?
C. Give me A, B, and C. C.
So earlier, we're talking about, and last time about different planes of existence. How many planes of existence are there?
I know there's 7, but there's things in between the 7.
Okay, so there'd be.
So I know that there's like 7 levels, but there's
Okay.
things in between the 7 levels that are like half dimensions or halfway in betweens. Like we
Like Harry Potter.
sorta like
Like the 7 and
I
a
know
half,
that like
7
the
and 3/4.
Fae live at the same level we do, but with a thin line that separates us
Thin
from the
veil.
Fae.
Okay.
So some of us can go see them. And they can come see us, but in general, there's a separation, so the majority don't see them. Okay.
Does that work on both sides? Like even the Fae don't really see us unless they have the ability, or they.
Unless they have a high enough skill set.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they
So
can't
even
come
them, like
down.
us, even them, they just can't always
Yeah,
see
they
us.
can't see us because why would they? They don't want
It's
to
just
be
like
with us.
a two-way mirror.
Yeah,
almost.
it's
like
like,
you
yeah.
just can't.
So there are things,
Yeah.
and I know that you can jump. You can actually. It's like when I do my remote viewing or my meditation. I can say I really need to go to this region, with the idea that I need to take a strong protection that fits that region, and then I can go and I can interact with a specific person in that region if I need to.
Okay.
So like I can go to Hades, which is down in the underworld, and work in his area or talk to him and negotiate, but it's with the idea that I'm being protected as I go there. I don't belong there, but I can go there.
So,
Okay.
like the hells and heavens, do they have their own level?
But there
Or is
isn't
it
really
like
a hell
is it
heaven,
just
right?
like maybe this hell was a little bit shittier and then this one's like more complete and then
I
like
know
you go
there's
to
ones that are
Hades and
totally black and cold,
Void.
and void,
I've been in
and
places
you
like
just
that.
hear it,
Yeah.
and you can feel things, and you until they're on top of you, you don't realize they're there. And then there's ones that are more like our world, where yes, there's good areas, there's bad areas of town. You know, you
Yeah.
don't go to
Right.
unless
You
you
got
want
stuck
to.
in the ghetto.
So yeah, there are ones that are darker. There are ones that are lighter.
Okay,
Like
so
if you
there's-
go to talk to Jesus, like I've talked to Jesus. If you go and you interact with Jesus, it's all love and light. Like literally, it's all
fucking
bright
hippie.
light. It's it's really like it's all like peace, love.
Listen
like,
to Grateful Dead.
Humanity will be
Hey,
great.
man.
No, Happy Gilmore.
No, it's that.
It's the
like,
Happy
I'll
Gilmore.
Be happy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's Happy Gilmore. It's the happy place in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Little midget running around.
And so like his is all very peaceful, very calm. Angels usually come to you in very calm areas that are very peaceful and calm.
even
too.
Michael.
Michael comes to my house.
That
so,
has to be like an energy, though.
He comes to my house.
He's like,
and
"I'm
he
making a
presents
house call."
himself in a way, and I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Because like,
Brought
he doesn't-
pizza and beer. Michael.
I stopped
So
slaying.
when I first met Michael, he presented as in a human form because I'm a human. So
You
he
knew
knew
exactly
that I
who
would
he was, though, right?
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I knew who he was because he presented himself, and I was like, holy crap, okay, I know who you are.
Right.
But then later, because I have worked with him several times over the years, like he now presents, and he's like in his divine form, which has eyes everywhere. There's
that's-
multiple weird wings everywhere. Like he's
creepy.
a mass
Yeah.
of this weird like eye wing thing, and he's presented, and I'm like, dude, like that is so like, why are you in that form? And he's like, you don't like it, so then he snaps, and then he's back in his he's like, oh, I just wanted to show you.
Nightmare inducing.
Like,
yeah, and I'm like, dude, like what? I don't want to see that. Like,
that's
there's
creepy.
so many eyes,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, I'm all seeing. I'm like, I get that, I understand.
But you're like, you realize what you know.
That's
Actually, he knows
correct,
what you see.
You see, like, what eye do I stare at?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go like, if you want to interact, they usually interact on levels. Like one of my people that I interact with, she's always in a swamp. She wants to be in a swamp. She considers herself like
a swamp king.
well, she's like she's hoodoo, so she likes to be down in the bayou, and she likes to be in a little hut down on in the swamp. So when I go and interact, I'm in that area with her. Okay, and then I have one that I actually interact that's in Africa by the Tree of Life, and I go and interact with her, Grandma Cacao, and I interact with her, and it's always like a Sahara desert, like it's in that level. So it depends on where you're going,
Their
where
environment.
you're
Some of
interacting.
them like their environment more than others, where they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of brings me to the next question. And you talk about the swamp, and I thought this is ladies, but you mentioned a little bit of your voodoo LA, Mama Virgin, was that her name?
Yeah,
can you go
Virgin.
more into her and the voodoo culture? I mean, can you expand more on that?
I actually work with like Papa G and Mama Virgin and the Baron. I work with a group of them down there, and they presented to me. I didn't go looking for them. They presented to me because they said that I needed their help. They wanted my help, and they came. So, like I can tell you, she is like, she works with the dead too. She works with the living and the dead. She does manifestations. She does lots of things. For them, gifts are a major component for them. So like you need to honor them. You have to have an altar. Some people don't want altars at all. They're like, if you just light a candle for me, say my name, I'm good.
She wants a whole
I can tell you, Mark, Archangel Michael, he doesn't give a crap so much. At least for me, he doesn't care if I have an altar or not. He's going to come all right. Odin's just going to come.
You just got to do it to the north.
But some of them really want altars. So like they have an altar, they want cigars, they want alcohol.
I don't
like,
work
they
for
want,
free.
Yeah, they're like, like they came to me, but they're like, if you want things, like I'll give you guidance, but if you want me to help you do things, then you need to pay back.
Okay.
And so like I've worked with them, and they're really cool. I don't do like there's blood rituals, and there's all different types of rituals you can do with sacrifices. I don't do that. She never asked for that. She understands that that is not in my culture, not something I would even want to do.
We don't sacrifice chickens.
Yeah, not for me.
I'm sure that she would understand that.
Yeah,
but,
and she understands that.
What if you gave her Popeyes?
She'd be like, dude,
she probably hates Popeyes. Exactly. Yeah, this is disgusting.
What are you doing to me?
Canes. All right, Canes with the sauce.
She's a big Canes fan, but not a Popeyes
with the
fan.
sauce. You have to have the sauce.
Right.
But I can tell you, she wants alcohol and she wants tobacco and she
so
likes
do they
flowers.
get to actually like consume this? So if I left the bottle,
interesting thing. So you don't leave the bottle, but you leave like a shot.
Okay,
a shot of a thing. So when I always give everybody stuff to open up the pathways when I do my weekly readings or when I'm doing major meditations. If you're cognizant enough and look, you'll actually find that stuff is lowered. Like,
and that's not just the evaporation of the alcohol.
No,
it's like you can clearly see like a sip being taken out.
And and this is the reason I'd never leave a bottle for someone, is they can get intoxicated. It is our alcohol. So then you'd have a guide on the other side.
Oh man, drunk.
That's a little drunk.
Yeah.
So
Get up.
One of my guides that I work with, Papa G, he does like to drink quite a lot, and he already thinks he's really funny to begin with. And his funny is very like not so funny sometimes.
Right.
And he thinks he has a great sense of humor, but sometimes it goes a little overboard.
A little dark.
And so I'm always like, you got to be very cautious. Like, I'm only giving you a shot, dudes. Like, you guys have to split it. That's all I'm doing. You know? And he's like, oh, okay. But then like you can tell if he's like had too much, and then I'm like, okay, we need to back down.
You need to go to bed now.
This is gonna be interesting.
So
you gotta put Papa down.
And so I work with them, and then I work with some issue, which are people that were human but now dead, in the dead on the other side, and it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different. So
they're getting to know this type of.
And you have to be accepted into them. They don't like, you can't go ask for them. They actually have to come to you. Like, you can go ask for them, but they don't accept you unless they want to. And
so it's like a very private organization kind of thing.
And they all are different. Like, and the way they present to me, they're all skulls. Like, they're all skeletons. They're dressed in human clothes, but they're all skeletons.
Like
because
suits
they were
or like...
human. No, I work with one guy that's a priest, and he presents himself in a priest outfit because he was a priest. I work with a couple females that presenting, either one was a dancer, so she has actually dancing clothes on. The other one's just normal housewear clothes. Like, they present and saying.
So just whatever they were wearing in life.
I present, and one of them that I work with, which is the guy that controls the cemetery. He actually he has like an Undertaker outfit on.
So if I'm going to die... and I'm gonna I want to be one of them, and I want a cool outfit. I just have to wear that outfit constantly.
But see, the thing is, if you do that, you don't get to always cross back over. Like, they're sort of like.
Well, I'm saying like.
In my opinion, and this is not negative, but they're almost like the army of the dead, but they live here all the time.
Okay, because I feel like I'd be like a motorcycle guy. Like, I'd be in dirt bike outfit, and I'd be like, well, this helmet's a little much. Like, I don't want to be stuck in that. I'd rather be stuck in like a cloak, something cool.
What if you went over and
Indiana
you were like,
Jones's outfit, like a leather jacket with a hat?
No, what if you woke up and you were like in short shorts and a half shirt that's all sparkling? Like, what the hell? Why am I wearing this?
No, you're like this. It was one night.
Where's my head showing? Yeah, exactly.
It was one night, guys.
Well, you're like, oh, look, there's Trevor. That's interesting, buddy.
But they're like all saints. They have a saint component to them.
Oh, okay.
That are over there.
No,
and so I do work with them, but again, it's very
exclusive.
Okay. It's for very different things. Like, if I go for soul retrieval, they're one of the groups I bring.
Okay.
Because they're already negative. Like, they are already dead. They already know how it works. Like, we're human, and they already know.
They're ready.
Like, there are things that you do with them specifically. Other people you bring in, you're like, hey, I just need help today. Like, with my readings, they're like, oh yeah, I will mess with you with your readings. That's fine.
So how do you talk about going and find souls? Like, how, I don't know if you can explain it. How do you find a soul? Say someone says, hey, we need to look for this soul. How does that work for you? Is it just a feeling? Is it like a
GPS or a beacon?
Well, sort of. Like, this is how it works for me. So if I know, like, sometimes I get people that come to me from the other side that was part of their family, and they're like, hey, they're lost. Can you help them? Then I'm like, okay, tell me what's going on. Not tell me the story, because I don't need the story.
Give me an overview.
Tell me, who am I looking for?
Gotcha.
And so then they're like, okay, I need you to go find George. George was about, this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I go to my people, and I'm like, hey, can you like help me guide in the right direction? Sometimes they get there and they're already gone. Like, they not like crossed over, but they've moved somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I get there and I can't find them. I find someone else, but I can't find them. So then I have to come back. I'm like, okay, well, that was a dead end, guys. It's almost like, searching for anybody that needs to be lost. And then they usually find me. The easiest for me to do is if they can tell me they were lost in their bedroom. So then I can say, okay, let's go to their bedroom. And I start at their bedroom, and usually the souls are right around where they've been lost, unless they've been on the other side for a long time.
Okay.
And then they're somewhere else sometimes.
Right. So it's your guys that kind of help you. They're the ones that help look.
They know where to look.
Yeah,
the scouts for you.
And to me, their souls are blue. So
it has a certain color.
So they do have a certain color, and then I know that it's them that I'm looking for, and so then I head towards that. Okay. And they usually, like, some of them, I can hear them crying or whimpering, so therefore then I go towards the crying and the whimpering.
And see if it's them.
Now, this might sound like a dumb question because it's my physical being, but like I'm a little colorblind stuff. So you said someone blue. Does that transfer over to, like, if you're on the other side, would that transfer over? I don't know. It sounds stupid, but I'm like, it's interesting.
Probably for you, because you wouldn't recognize blue because you are colorblind, they'd probably just give you a really bright light.
It's something you can recognize different. Gotcha.
Yeah, because like my guides, they show me different colors of souls are different types of things.
Yeah.
Okay, not different types of humans, different entities.
Not to this guy.
So like, blue represents humans. That's what we are. But then I do work with like these bug people on the other side, their souls are actually like a yellow color. Like when they go on to the other side, they're yellow. And then there's a group that's red. And so it's really just, it represents for me, I think it would be if you were to do it, your group would create things that make sense to you.
Gotcha, the colors. So, I mean, I don't even have to be colorblind. It could be a different color, could mean something different to me. So, let's back up a little. You mentioned bug people. What's going on there now?
So, I did not. Since I was a kid, I used to, like, I always interacted with the Fae, and then I interacted with these bug people, which look like praying mantises. I didn't think anything of it.
Aliens. People present them as aliens.
I just assumed they were praying mantises because they're dressed in clothes, but they look like praying mantises
they're just
to
more,
me.
you know,
like they have
civilized.
long, thin arms, and they
Everything
have multiple
connects.
arms, and they dress up. And I always assumed they were just giant bug people, and so it wasn't until I was actually doing reading and I was like, holy crap, the bug people are like these alien people that people actually interact and
talk about them. There's a lot of stories about them.
Frick, I had no idea. I've been interacting with them for years. I didn't know what
it's
they
so
were.
crazy how the more shows we do, the more stuff connects, around about ways. So that's
and they ask for being crossed over too. Like they come to me and they're like, no, they remind me of humans. They just look like bugs, basically. Bugs. Like they're dressed like bugs. They have war like They have war like we do. So they have people that die in war.
They just like souls like us, just different bodies, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Like to me, they never were scary.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
Have you ever met a lizard person?
So I've seen a lizard person. I haven't met them.
Okay.
So you can't see them on the other side
too?
Yeah, they're on the other side. They're there.
Is there like a bunch of them, or is there?
I think they're a level. Like I think they're a realm that is able to infiltrate our realm.
Okay.
And I think that's why they come down, because I think their realm seems it's not dead. I can tell you it's not like their culture is dying. They're looking for a new planet. Like I don't see that. It just shows me that they know how to move themselves up and down. Some of them do, and they want to experience different situations.
Okay.
They are more neutral. It's weird. Their energy, you know how we have love and hate and joy and happiness?
Yeah.
They seem very neutral. So they come down here to experience the
They're trying to get emotion
love and
almost.
hate, the emotions,
Or they, would you say, are they in a different plane, or not really a different plane? They're just a different area.
They're like a different plane, but a different entity. They're a different species.
Maybe Jerry
thing.
Springer was
I love Jerry Springer.
Because like if you think about it, how much there was a lot of hate and crying and love all on that show, and he always just sit there going,
"This is the best."
Oh, he loved it. He goes, "This is what I did."
That would make sense.
All right, we're going off the rails there a little bit, but that's. I mean, every question and answers brilliant for you. So that kind of blew me away a little bit. That's crazy. Okay,
I didn't realize what they were until like literally last year, because they just were always there.
Yeah,
like they come,
with
I talk to them. Sometimes they need souls crossed over, and they're like, hey, when I do my soul collecting, my releasal of souls out of my place that I store them safely, or they go for me to release them to. I don't store them, but they go to wait. It's like a giant waiting room for me.
Right.
They're sometimes in there, and so I'm like, oh, okay. So then I open the door. So with my people, what I do is I'm like, okay, I'm opening the portal or the doorway to the humans. Yeah. So then all the blue lights come together and they race through the door really fast, okay? And then I shut the door, and then I'm like, okay, I'm opening the door for the bug people, which I called bug people.
Yeah.
The praying mantis people. And then that door opens, and then all their yellow souls race through. And so I've interacted with them, and I just assumed they were just, I don't know. I just assumed they were there.
Well, I mean, if you've seen them since you were a kid, that makes sense.
Yeah. I just actually, originally, I just thought they were some form of fae.
Yeah.
Like I knew they weren't fae, but I knew they were sort of equivalents
human, they weren't
like that.
Else, yeah.
So does fae have their own soul, basically?
Yeah, they
have.
Or
are they separate from? So like, it's bug people and humans. I don't know where you answered that.
Fae can be asked to take over, but they have a totally different soul. You know, fae have a way. They're so spiritually evolved from us. They have a totally different method.
Really older species than us, right?
I don't think I know that they can die, but it's not normal. And
they
if
live
it
for
is,
a long
it's
time.
a very long time.
Yeah.
Like I don't usually cross the fae.
So we know how long. No, so Fae aren't like these entities like obviously like Hades and them. They're like their own thing. Because you said they're just a different.
So those
plane.
guys are like, to me, those guys are gods and goddesses. Gods and goddesses are on their one level.
Yeah.
Then you have like the Fae or the bug people on different levels, both of them, but they're different than us. And then the issue, those guys, they've actually always been human. They were human, so they're on our plane, so they don't go anywhere. They're here with us. It just depends. Like some of them if they're not, they were never human, they're on a different level.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and so that's an interesting question. But if the bug people are a different plane, are they really outer space aliens, or are they dimensional aliens? Basically,
I think they're interdimensional.
They've got to be interdimensional. That would be lizard people too, right?
Yeah, that's what I think, because I think that they can jump. Like right now, I can tell you, because of the political world that we're in right now, there's a group of spiders, giant, huge spiders, and their web is getting tighter and tighter. Like usually I only saw maybe one or two, maybe every couple months. They're all over, and the web is getting tighter and tighter. There's some kind of change coming, and they're showing it.
If you see a spider near me, you better tell me.
They're huge.
I don't want it. I don't. I will run.
What are these spiders? What are they? What is their intentions, or what are they supposed to be? Are they like they're spiritual spiders? Basically, we're saying. Okay.
I don't know. They don't communicate with me. They're the type of things where you see them and they're like over there, and you're like, oh, okay.
I'm staying away from over there. Right.
You're over there. I'm over here. I'm not even going to acknowledge that I see you, because if
you don't want the acknowledgement of that.
But they seem to be feeding off something.
They seem to be doing something. They're building. It used to be the webs were only 1 or 2 lines long. The webs are getting bigger, stronger and stronger, and they're pushing in.
You know what the webs are attached to, or no? Okay.
I just know it's changed.
Right, like I don't want to go deal with it.
It's changed, so it's almost like they are, like, I don't know.
They're constructing it.
Yeah, something.
Whew,
it's weird.
Fuck that. I don't want no spider.
I can tell you that.
Well, I get you too. Seeing that, I wouldn't want to explore that. Like,
up to no spider.
What the hell is that? Like, I'm not going over there. That's for damn sure.
You see them from afar. Like, I see them. Like, I drive or I do something. I'm like, oh god, no.
Yeah.
Like, and I just walk away. Like,
so, like you say, you see them. Where are they usually located? Like, where do you see them kind of congregate at? Cities, or it doesn't really matter. It used to be that I'd see them out. So, like, if I was driving between here and Washington, I'd see them driving, like, out in the middle of nowhere.
They'd be like in just like a pasture somewhere.
Yeah, they'd just be out. Now I actually have seen them. They're closer to. They're in town.
All right. Well, I need a map, and I need you to mark all this off.
To me, they run like we're on this level, and they're on one level above us, and they're just running along the top of our level.
I need to know.
I don't know what they're doing, but I can tell you there's more of them.
They're probably all over DC is where they are. They're probably
I'm pretty sure, but I need to know. I don't care if it's not a plane I can see. I need to know exactly where these fucking things are, and I'm not going near it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
makes sense though. It sounds like they're like feeding off of all that chaos going on.
They're doing something, and I don't know, and I'm not willing to go ask. That's not.
No, I wouldn't either.
I'm good.
There are so many things out there that. So in the last interview, we talked about stuff like when you were a kid seeing stuff, and or when you were an intern working in the hospital seeing stuff in the corner, and you're like, what the hell is that? Because you mentioned watching a scene about someone dying. You would understand seeing a human person, but if you're seeing stuff you don't know. So is there still out there you're looking like, I don't know what that is, but is it anything that gives an ominous warning, or you just know right away, like, I'm not going to mess with that? Not that you're going to go mess with stuff, like, I should need to stay away.
Things, like, most of the time they always present, they're obviously not human, so they're usually scary. So my first reaction to things that I don't know is like, oh shit, what was that? That kind of thing. I'm like, I'm going to back up and just, like, sort of pretend it's not there.
Yeah.
And usually, generally, I actually ignore most things because I'm like, I don't know what you are, and I don't know the purpose. I don't understand, and you don't seem to be wanting to come talk to me, so I'm going to
They don't want to deal with you, so you're
not going to go.
I don't mess with them, but then if I see them multiple times, then that usually tells me maybe there's something I need to engage in, or maybe there's something that I need to tighten my guard up around. In general, I don't. Right now, there's also this group of things that I'm seeing, and I think this is because of the chaos and the hatred and sadness that's going on. They're little, and they're probably up to your knee, and they feed off of it, and they run in packs. They remind me of little.
Please say dinosaur.
They're not dinosaurs because they're sort of fuzzy.
I was gonna say those little dinosaurs had feathers, and they
they run in packs, and there's big groups of them, and there's more of them. And I
like
think
little wolves almost.
Well, the way she
they
described
run on
fuzzy,
2
right?
legs, but they do have other legs because they
The copies. You remember the copies?
No, it reminds me a lot of shadow people. You kind of describing. I mean, I know it might be something different, but that's reminds because they're usually small. They're on the 2 legs,
and
running over.
They eat the energy. They eat stuff. And they're running in groups, and there's more of them. Just because I've seen them, and I don't go out searching for them. They actually, I just see them.
You just see them all
the
about.
weirdest part is when you're driving down the street and you actually look over and you see it.
Your world
and you're
is
like,
weird.
What the hell?
I don't know.
So then I'm just like, focus on the road.
I don't know if I could
drive
be
anywhere.
I couldn't do it.
And people like your mom, like my mom, my kids, everybody's in the car, and you just look over and you're like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? And then you're like, okay, and you just focus on the road and go forward. Like,
so anyone else in the family, are you seeing this too, or is it mainly just you? And I know you said your son.
My one son does it. I'm working with him to shut stuff down because he gets overwhelmed.
Right, of course.
And
I mean, that's obvious.
And to realize, like, he's actually now realizing, like, he's picking things up, like, hey, he's really good. Like, he's good at a broad energy pickup. Like, he's like, ooh, stuff has changed. And I'm like, yeah, I know, stuff is changing.
Right.
And so he actually picks it up. So I'm assuming that he probably can see stuff because he does tell me he sees stuff or he hears things. So I'm assuming he does. But the thing is that there's stuff that you just don't, like if you saw a crocodile in the water, you're not going to go entertain the crocodile.
No, exactly.
You're going to be like, you stay over there.
Exactly.
That
makes sense.
You might get some idiot.
Yeah.
You stay on there. Obviously, you're doing your own thing. I'm
And
doing
I'm
my
just
own
gonna
thing. I'm
stay
just
up
going to
here.
go over it.
So you mentioned if you see something over and over again, that you would ask your allies, like, what is this?
Is there a reason I'm seeing this? Should this be something I need to worry about?
Myself
Do I need to make something stronger? What is it I need to do?
So has there ever been a time that's happened where your allies are like, we need to deal with this because this thing is
so
showing too much interest in you, basically?
So, I interacted with a Wendigo up in Alaska. There was one that used to walk through the town. He actually used to walk down the street at night, and I'd seen him 2 or 3 times, and I was like, I don't want to interact with a Wendigo. They're not really human. They were at some point. They probably
used to
were,
be, but
they're not now. And they're actually very deadly. Like, you don't want to mess with them. They really aren't nice people, nice things to interact with. And my people are like, well, you need to give him an offering so he realizes that, because he's seen you. See, the problem is he saw me.
Gotcha.
So I went out. So the way I found him the first time was my house was here. The mailboxes were across the street. I went out at night, walked across the street to grab my mail, was coming back, looked down the road, and he was standing in the middle of the road 2 blocks down. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
So then I walked back into my house. I'm like, just turn, pretend like you didn't see him, and just keep going. And then, like, a couple weeks later, I looked out my front window, and he was literally walking down the street, and I was like, and he turned and looked straight at the house and then kept going.
He's like,
and I was
okay,
like,
I see you now.
Crap. And then on the 3rd time, when I actually was driving home, because in Alaska it gets dark early, so I was driving home, it was already dark, and I looked, and he was standing at the corner of a block away from me, staring back at me coming down the road. I was like, what am I supposed to do? And they were like, you need to give him an offering just so he realizes you saw him, he saw you.
So it's mutual.
But
now.
I have no game. I'm not going to do something to him. I'm not trying to invade his territory.
You're not prey.
I'm just there.
Yeah.
And so then, like Wendigo, you give him raw meat. So then you have to get him raw meat and give it and put it out on a plate. And the next day, half of it was gone. And I was like, okay, is that good? And they were like, yep. And then I never, like, I'd see him in the distance, but
he wasn't
after
stalking.
me.
Yeah.
So when you see him, was it on the spiritual realm? I mean, it's not like I would have walked out and saw him. It's. I mean, that's a Wendigo doesn't live.
I saw him.
Gotcha.
But he was like blatantly clear.
Gotcha. Well, I'm just so I know people are asking, well, could other people see him? I'm like, no, it's your ability.
You probably could if you were a group of people that believed in it. Like I can tell you, the Native Americans, Alaska Native Americans.
They would see him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They would have saw him.
That's interesting.
Because they believe in it. They know what to look for.
And there's always stories about it. So it's interesting, like you said, Native American stuff. So people who believe will see the stuff. And if you have no belief in it, of course, you're going to like, there's nothing there, man. Relax.
It's like the Irish always have stuff for the leprechauns and the Fae and the Scots do too, because they believe in it. So therefore they're integrated into their society and they see it still.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's just normal people like in the cities would be like, I don't even have time for that. I don't want to do that.
We shut
don't believe
ourselves
in
off
that.
to it.
Yeah.
Like,
So they don't see it.
And we also didn't have that folklore like they do. Like it wasn't that ingrained into the society.
Yep. I mean, they believe in them. They offer things. And just like the Native Americans, they do the same thing. They have things they believe
Still
in.
to this day,
and
yes.
they are like, okay, we need to do these. We need to do these offerings. We need to do that.
rituals,
keeps the
yeah.
energy alive. That keeps the rituals alive. Therefore, then it happens.
And I'm okay with not seeing Wendigos. Believe me, I'm totally fine with that.
Well,
I don't
you know,
want to see
but
that at all.
It makes sense now. Like if you say you see things here and there that, like we had dragons and like giant spiders and like maybe someone that just had that.
I can tell
talent.
dragons are on a different level. They're still around. They're just not on our plane.
Yeah, but
They're like the Fae.
stories.
They left.
Yeah,
Right.
but like the stories from humanity throughout, and it's been in every culture and everything, and it would make sense if
that they're
you
here
could,
somewhere.
yeah, you could just tap into that realm, but you see it, not everyone else does. You're like, dude, there's a dragon right there. And you're like, you need
But
to
I can
get
tell
off
you,
the
as a
mushrooms.
human, it's really hard to bounce from realm to realm.
Yeah.
It gets really tired. It drains you emotionally and energetically.
Exactly.
It's very draining, and you can't do it day after day. Like, you just physically can't.
Yeah, I remember
it
it
would make
took a
you
toll
sick.
on you, yeah.
So you can only do it, if you're jumping around, then you should be,
So
much
is there
careful doing
people
it.
that accidentally kind of tap into, like, so say somebody accidentally sees a Wendigo, they're not Native American, is it something they accidentally just kind of tap into it sometimes? Because sometimes everyone's like, I thought I saw this for sure, and it's just kind of
like
fall into
they
it.
were
or-
in a camping trip and like that, we saw a
I
fucking
think they're
Wendigo.
just at the right time, at the right
time.
place, and they're
Okay.
sensitive, and they saw
It just happened. They
Yeah.
seen it open themselves out without
or they were
meaning to.
drunk and they saw it because they let their guard down and they
Yeah, that
see
makes
something
sense.
where
That
they
makes
were
sense. Okay.
hallucinating
They were
and
high.
they saw it. Yeah.
Doesn't always mean
Like-
you're just seeing shit, but sometimes you are seeing
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're like,
Because I've
"Oh,
seen
shit."
some things.
Yeah.
Like, I swear I've had some conversations.
Right.
Yep.
But so, all right, I'm gonna have to ask it. Bigfoot. Have you seen a Bigfoot on the other side?
Sasquatch. Yeah.
I have not. I've never went looking for one. It would make sense that they're there. I can
'Cause they
tell you
pop in and
they
out of the
pop
realms.
back and forth.
So they are dimensional
but
travelers,
I can tell you
basically,
that I believe they're there.
Okay.
Like, I can tell you, I went to the Redwood Forest, and there's definitely
that was
stuff
beautiful.
in there. It
Yeah.
was awesome, but there's definitely stuff that's
I'm
in there
sure-
that's old, and you don't want to mess with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it.
So, yeah, I know there's stuff there. I know that when I went to visit West Virginia up in the hills at night, you can hear this stuff in there.
Really?
And you're like, I don't want to, whatever
I
that
don't want
is,
this- I don't want
you
this.
just
anything
stay
to
over
do with
there.
it.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like with these entities and stuff, there's just multitudes, almost like infinite type of beings out there, and not everything should be explored or found out. Like I said,
I
sometimes
don't
you're
think
like,
so. I think some of it just should be left alone.
Right,
Unless
exactly.
Unless we have a reason, like we're
Right.
going to interact and learn from them or do
Yeah.
something. But if we're just doing it for tracking or the fact
No.
we want to find it,
no, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Why?
Why? Exactly. Because they
what-
have nothing
what-
to do with us.
what are you
Well,
doing?
because you got to think, if we can will something into existence, the thing we will into existence can will something into existence too.
Yeah.
Yeah, can those things will things? That's interesting.
I would think so.
Right.
Like, I can tell you that's where people get these horrible nightmares where they're being taken by
Giant
stuff
fucking spiders.
or things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's because they pulled you into their world.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Not you into,
Yeah,
you
you
didn't
didn't-
pull
Right.
them this way. They
It's
pulled you that
feeding
way.
off of you,
So,
not
yeah,
them.
I think that they can pull you back and forth just like we can hop back and forth. They can pull back and forth.
Okay.
But some of them are much stronger and much older than us. So,
I believe it.
So dreams would be kind of a maybe connection to some of these things, or
yeah,
is
definitely.
that okay?
So that's just like kind of the realm that maybe that opens that door just slightly when you're
It
dreaming.
does, because you're on a neutral playing field, and therefore, like, the 5D is very easy to jump, and that's why people have vivid dreams. But it's also why people shut down and don't have any dreams.
Right. I don't
Because
have
at
any
some
dreams.
point, if you think about it, what caused you to stop having dreams? There
You had a
usually
bad
was something that was reoccurring over and over that you didn't know how to deal with, you didn't understand.
body shut
So
down.
you shut it down. So therefore you don't go into that realm. Doesn't mean that you don't interact, it just means that you're not cognizant or you're not at a level that you want to remember.
Okay.
Yeah, because I rarely
trauma.
dream anymore too. So that is interesting how your body just kind of
Yeah,
tells like, okay,
they just
yeah.
are like, it was too overwhelming, or I'm just not ready for this, or
We
you
need
know,
to, yeah, we need
I
to not
shut
remember this
down.
right now.
But yeah, dreams are very easy. Communication from the other side is very easy through dreams.
Interesting. Yeah, because some people say you get messages.
Oh yeah.
I did have my mom at one time had a dream that her mother was sending her messages to it. A very interesting dream about I'll go into it just a little bit, real quick. She had a dream that so my aunt had lived in this house. I'm sorry I've told this story before, and it was an old house and everything, and it was a bad area of town. And where her sisters were, my mom and her at the town, like, that's a good area of town. Well, she woke up one morning, and she thought she saw her mom, who had already passed away, sitting on the couch. She had saw her there and looked away, and then she went back to look again, and it freaked her out. So she called my mom, crying and stuff. I saw her grandma, and mom was like, well, I don't know why, mom would do that, because she would never want to scare us. She knew that all those girls were scaredy cats and stuff. So that night she had a dream. She was on a bus. I'm on a bus, and I'm looking out the window. There's all these little white houses, white little picket fences, and as it's pulling up, I can see my mom, my grandma, working in the garden in the front of the house, and the bus stops, lets me out, and she walks up to the house. She's like, Mom, what are you doing here? She goes, oh, hey, they gave me this house that, I get to live here and I get to work in the garden. This is awesome. It's one of explains what you want to do. She goes, okay. And she's like, listen, I just wanted to tell you, I didn't mean to scare your, sister Nena. I wanted to just give her a warning that she needs to leave. That the area is not good for her or the girls. They need to get out. And Mom's like, well, Nessie, I know we're on the bus. Well, she's talking to me this, and I'm facing her, and the wind is behind her. And she goes, well, that's all I wanted to say, but everything's fine, everything's good. And he goes, oh, by the way, we're here. It's time to get out. And she goes, Mom goes, I went to turn to look what's going out, and then she just woke up. So messages like that was what brings. So that story always stuck with me. I go, that is crazy. That's really detailed. And she goes, it stuck with her that much.
When your dreams are to the point where you're like, God, I was drinking really hot tea and I could actually see the steam.
I've had those, yeah.
And it was literally burning my fingers, and I was like, and I was eating these cookies that are crumbling in my fingers. That's not a dream, dude. Like if it's so detailed that you can actually visually still see the dream, that's not a dream, babe. Yeah. You're on the other side. You were literally interacting on the other side.
Well, that freaks me out because I've had some crazy ass dreams. No, like when I was a kid, I had a dream that I was chased by a T-Rex. Mm-hmm. And it was like carnage of my grandparents' house. Like there was broken walls and stuff, and I was being chased by this fucking thing, and I could never get away from it, no matter where I hid. Yeah. But it was so vivid, and if it got me, I would wake up and I'd feel it. Right. Like I could feel that.
Maybe it was something
because they were actually See, the problem is I know that when I was a child in Alaska, I was being stalked in the woods one time when I was in the woods by something that was not human. I knew that they were stalking me. I felt it, scared the shit out of me. Right. I ran home. I hid. I was like, holy crap. I didn't go back in the forest for like over a month. And I used to go in the forest. I was a kid. We grew up on property with forests. Just go out there all the time. And it's because they were stalking you. Like they are trying to interact with you. They're trying to get you for one reason or the other. Yeah. Right. As a child, it's usually because you have pure energy. They want something to do with the pure energy. Right. Yeah. So there are things that chase you and look. And if you, especially if you have reoccurring stuff.
That one would happen like once a week at least. I wake up in cold sweats.
And maybe it wasn't a T-Rex, but that's what your body told you. It was something scary.
It was something that you could recognize.
Well, I was watching Jurassic Park.
Well, that's what I mean. So I
think that's what it was. But that's what it manifested as. But it was, and it was never the same route or anything. It was always I was trying to take different ways, and it would always get me in the end. Yeah, it was weird.
All right, let's change up a little bit here. I want to talk about, last time I mentioned attachments that we talked to. Can we talk more about attachments? Like, what does that mean as an attachment for somebody? You said sometimes, and I think we talk about exorcism stuff, or just really what and I know you say sometimes you ask for stuff, but what does that mean when they're attached to you? What exactly
they're usually feeding off of you. They're trying to manipulate you in some way, or they're trying to live through you in some way.
So parasitic almost.
So they're almost like they remind me of a leech a lot of times. Okay. Sometimes people actually ask for things to come into them, so they actually it's not like some attaches. When I look at attachments, sometimes you can physically see them on the outside of their body, like they're actually sitting right here, or they're attached to their back, or they're hanging up on their head.
Is it like any form, or just like a blob?
It depends
on
what
it's an attachment.
Are.
Okay.
Like some of them, they usually always have a face, and they usually always have. You're usually dark, but that's because for me, dark represents negative. So therefore, because of our culture, so they're usually always dark. They're usually sitting there, and they usually the ones that I've seen, they actually smile back at you. Like they know that I can see them,
Yeah.
and they have this
Hey, how you
stupid
doing?
grin like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
dude,
Hey,
like,
how you doing?
look what I'm doing. And they're like, are you going to do something about it? And I'm
Really?
like,
They're confrontational, basically, yeah.
Some of them are very confrontational. Like they know they've been doing it. They know what they're doing.
Territorial.
And they just continue. Others actually are inside the person, and it's almost like you have to look internally, and you find it's almost like they're split. So half of the humans on this side and the half of the entities on this side, but they're possessing the same thing because they're living through them.
One body, two creatures.
Yeah.
Would that be something like you said, people selling their souls to be famous? Would that be something
Could
like
be,
that?
yeah.
Okay.
Or that they just have been possessed by something that is strong enough to actually possess the inside too.
Gotcha.
But usually, again, it has to do with that you've invoked them, or you've asked for them, or you've done something to open that portal.
Like you said, I think last time
you've
depression would do it too.
Like the horrible thing is being a kid playing with the Ouija board, not understanding what the Ouija board is, opening up something. They're like, ooh, I really like you. And then they start hanging out with you.
Gotcha.
And then over time, they become a little stronger.
Is there such thing as good attachments then? You said the dark
There's
ones?
attachments that some people live with their whole entire life, and it doesn't affect them. So I don't know that it's bad.
So maybe it's more symbiotic.
It's more like I live through you, but you live through me. We need each other to function.
Wonder what that. I mean, I get what the attachment would be. I wonder what the person's getting out of that though.
They usually get guidance. They usually get support, or they don't feel like they actually are alone in the world, because they usually have this sense of
not particularly bad. Just
they could be in the middle of nowhere, but they're like,
and that's why
I'm
some
okay.
attachments smile smack at you and are like, hey, dude, what are you doing? And you're like, well, I'm doing nothing. But the thing is it's not affecting the person. It
Gotcha.
usually
Negatively.
over time does affect the person because it
Take a
drains
toll
them.
eventually.
Yeah.
So energetically, health-wise, you do find that it causes problems. But in general, no. Sometimes it just doesn't affect them at all.
Okay.
Some are negative. Like some people that I've seen and acted with, they actually start losing their hair. They know they have an attachment.
wow.
They know they have something.
Yeah.
They're losing their hair. Like they start having dental problems that they never had. They can't see properly out of one eye.
So the body's just
like the body
deteriorating.
is deteriorating around them because there is something there that's actually feeding off of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like a leech or a
Like a parasite.
So going off The Exorcist, you mentioned a friend who works around the world. I think that's Silver Wolf would be your
Silver
mentor.
Wolf. Yep.
If we can go more into her, and you talked about this, like I don't know if you're talking about government bodies sending her elsewhere to go and deal with problems, and you said like exercising stuff and something. What I mean, can you talk about that? Like, what are they doing over there, and what are they exercising if the government has to be like a government agency?
Because it really doesn't matter if it's a government or a religious factor.
Gotcha.
They can't do something. Like they know they need help. They know that they've done everything basic.
Yeah.
So then they have to bring someone in that actually can see on the other side or has that ability to do that. So like she would go over and she would analyze the whole situation, decide, because she has a whole routine that she has to do. It like has herbs, it has oils, it has sacred,
Right.
you're doing this, you're doing that, and she has to do this whole routine to get it. It's because most of the time they don't call her in unless it's a massive problem.
Gotcha.
They do. She doesn't like to talk about them because everybody
Obviously.
has privacy.
Right.
Which is totally fine. I agree. That's an ethical issue. You shouldn't be bragging about stuff that you're doing.
Right.
But the thing is that it does take a toll. It knocks her out for
Right.
months to half a year,
Yeah.
depending on how big the thing is, how much it is, how much work was involved.
Okay.
And she has a whole range of allies she works with, and some of the allies really take a toll on you because they do require things afterwards. Like, okay, you want my help to change a tire, then the next time you need to help me move. That
Right,
kind of
right,
thing.
gotcha.
So they all require.
So it makes me wonder when they call her, so whether it be a religious body or a government body or whatever, what these bodies are doing to need her help. Like, I could imagine a
Most of the
religious
time-
one maybe helping, but I don't
Most
know,
of the time they are screwing.
screwing up.
They're screwing up. Most
Yeah.
of the time they call someone like her in because they've screwed it up so badly that now they can't get it off. Because generally, most of the time, if you really have good intention and you follow a protocol, most of the time for the smaller things, it's like raking your yard. Most of the time you can rake all the leaves up and you're fine.
Yeah.
And get rid of them.
Right.
So generally a general person can use the rake and get everything off and do just fine. And that would be like a priest or a rabbi or something doing that. But then other times they get in there and they piss the thing off so much because they keep like trying to rake.
And you can't get
and
it.
then and the thing's like, dude, I'm attached. And you're not going to rake me up no matter what I do.
It's like a tree stump that is
and
not
so
going.
then you have to call in the lumberjack to actually come in and remove the tree because that's what you need to do and dig it out.
So again, it's interesting that these bodies, whether are doing stuff like that, especially like a governmental body, which would never admit to doing anything in the spiritual side, or even kind of like a lot of religious things will deny it big time, you know. And then, but then on the side, they're like, okay, Ms.
Call
Wolf,
someone in.
can
I mean,
you
why
come
does
up
the
and-
Catholic Church have exorcists but don't want to talk about the exorcists?
Yeah, they deny it. Like, oh yeah, we don't. I'm like, no.
We travel all over the world looking for
Yes.
supernatural things happening, but we then every time we find something, say, "Oh no, that wasn't really what happened."
It's really weird.
But
that
we'll
they
take
deny
that
it.
piece from you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Or
it's
we'll
not
clean
yours.
that up.
Right. It's really weird
Like, really?
on all those things that do that.
You know,
What are we doing?
It's a very powerful organization. Been around for a long
Well,
time.
I think they just think that's information. Information to them is powerful. Whether it be that, oh yeah, that's nothing. Don't worry about it. We'll take that from you and everything. And they're like, oh yes, you know.
Or they call it a saint or a blessing or like a what do they call it?
Yeah, like that crying statue that they
Yeah,
had, where
yeah.
they confiscate it, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's a gift from God, so we need to take it."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a saint. We need to
Along
take
with
it.
all the paintings from all the nice shit.
Rich
Well,
stuff,
that's
man.
just confiscated.
Right,
That's just,
yeah.
like, that's just rough. But yeah, so they usually call in someone like Silver or someone at that level because they've screwed it up so bad
They
they have to
couldn't
get someone
handle it
else
properly.
in.
Yeah.
And they need someone that really is gifted in that ability to do that.
Yeah, so they need a sniper and not like a
Yeah, not just a normal.
Now that's her main ability as an exorcist or like kind of like thing. I mean, I'm sure she's kind of broad.
She has a very broad skill set. She can do, like, to me, in my opinion, she can pretty much do anything she wants.
Gotcha.
But I know that she's narrowed it down and she does very specific things.
Okay.
So,
Because that's what
that as
she's
her
being
specialty.
asked
Yeah.
for to do stuff like
Yeah.
that. And, okay.
I mean,
guess-
because she's one of them that she helped me when I was at the beginning recognize what I was actually seeing and calling them out by their name. It was like, okay, that's what this is, or that's what this is, and that's what that. And I was like, oh, okay, so they're just not creatures. Like, to me,
Right.
they're all like
You
creatures.
just saw creatures, and now you have
or
a
I
name
see
to these
entities,
creatures,
and I'm
yeah.
like, I don't even know what to do. And she's like, oh, well, then go look this up. This is what you're actually seeing, and then you can do research. You're like, holy shit, okay, that's what I'm seeing. That kind of thing. So.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you got any other questions? I mean,
No, I do have to get ready for work here.
Yeah, exactly. We got a pound of questions, man. Thank you, Perstephane, for another
Anytime.
interesting interview stuff, and hopefully we answered a lot more of you guys' questions out there. We just delve into it, and that's
If we didn't, I answered my questions.
yeah. We do. You definitely have an interesting world, and you're seeing Wendigos and stuff like that. God bless you. I mean, that's scary stuff there. I mean,
Yeah.
It's one
but
of
you've
those-
you've done this all your whole life. You're learning how to shut stuff off.
It's,
And
it's ones that the things that scare you the most are the ones that you actually need to probably interact with the most. Is a
Gotcha.
horrible thing.
Not the spiders. No,
Well,
and I
but
still
again,
want the
we-
map.
The spiders, I just watch from afar. They're
Yeah.
doing something. I don't know what it is. It has to do.
You'll
with,
find out soon enough.
Yeah,
I
it
think.
has to do with reconsolidating. So whatever
Might
that
be
is.
restructuring.
seems a lot of things though. You see though, that like you see them and seeing like, okay, as long as you're over
They're
there, I'm over here.
trends.
Yeah.
It's almost like I see things and I view them as trends. Like, okay, there's more of them than in the past year.
Gotcha.
So something
So what's
changed.
changing?
Yeah.
Something's changing, or
Right.
we're moving towards something else.
Oh, the ice thing down in L.A.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe that. Yeah.
I mean, they're
But it seems like things you're
corralling
seeing, and if basically if you don't need anything from each other, just kind of like you're passing somebody's street, like, oh, hey, how you doing? And
I
that's
just
it.
watch them from afar. I'm like,
You
okay.
acknowledge each other and you leave each other alone.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because there's no reason to be. All right.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Please put in a good word of Odin for me.
I will.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, don't forget I'm going to put her website here again to check her out. She's got a whole network over there of everything you need, guys. Please check her out. Check out stuff. If you guys want readings and stuff, there she is. And we'll put the name out again. Hey everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show, man. Definitely share this one again. Hopefully everyone. You always say something, and now both shows are just blowing my mind both times. So it's just like, wow, exactly. So, but
It's a lot of info.
your
Yeah.
world is
Fun.
definitely something interesting. Again, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.